Our boy Lu is stuck inside the useless, fleshless body of a skeleton, and he's already reached the limit of this body, so he just can't grow any stronger. Luckily, Demon Queen Wu has taken a huge interest in him. She sees limitless potential in the boy, and to help him harness it, she invites him into a secret realm known as the Evolutionary Blood Pool. There, he's supposed to marinate in this pulsing well of carnage and soak up enough essence to upgrade his weak bloodline attributes. He wastes no time before letting his frail, bony body absorb the blood essence at an exponentially high rate. Even the hard-to-please Mommy Wu is genuinely surprised by his rate of absorption. However, a certain group of haters aren't thrilled by this outcome. They try to throw a wrench in his exceptional evolution process by ambushing him from all sides. Surprisingly enough, Mommy Wu doesn't even bother intervening, because she already knows he's going to cook their asses. A blood cocoon forms around him as he undergoes his evolution, while the assassins try to strike as hard as they can. But it's already too late. The formation shatters, and a brand new Lu comes into view, looking absolutely nothing like his former skinny skeleton self. He's like a devil born out of the darkness, the kind of devil who doesn't even need to flinch to brutally decapitate the first two assassins approaching. The other foolish mortals learn absolutely nothing from their friend's demise. They charge ahead to purge the nightmare standing before them, only to get their hearts ripped straight out of their chests. Lu squeezes and pops them like some fudged up party balloons. Even the assassin leader doesn't stand a chance, effortlessly getting his head separated from his body. Sugar Mommy Wu is thoroughly enjoying it after having her wet dream manifest into reality. She is thrilled to experience just how effortlessly this boy has massacred these veterans. But you see, our boy wasn't always this badass. Before he became Mr. Badass Barebones, he was just a corporate slave, working as a developer for the very game he's now trapped in. For reasons unknown, his older brother mysteriously disappeared one day while beta testing this exact game. Lu basically gets himself fired so he can dive in and figure out the mystery behind his brother's disappearance. He also has a younger brother named Fei. The two brothers decide to don their VR headsets and search for clues about their older brother's vanishing act within the game. While Lu was working as a developer, he secretly embedded the game with an undetectable cheat code that only he knows how to use. He exploits this cheat to acquire a hidden scroll, one that allows him to change his profession to the highly coveted Asura class. But as soon as he activates the scroll, a stinging realistic pain grips his chest as the system severely glitches out. The next thing he knows, instead of becoming an overpowered Asura, he's waking up in a nightmarish landscape, stuck with a skeletal body. As he struggles to comprehend his situation, a weak-looking creature wielding a glowing staff appears, addressing him as its servant. A grin spreads across the monster's face, seemingly pleased that its summoning ritual has succeeded. Lu quickly realizes that the creature is an epic-ranked boss, Rhine, the undead summoner. However, to him, it is just another NPC. He attempts to communicate, asking about his location. Rhine stares at him in surprise, unprepared for a summoned skeleton to speak. This unusual occurrence suggests that Lu is not an ordinary summon but a rare skeletal guard. However, Rhine remains silent, leading Lu to assume it is of no use to him. He turns away, intending to find someone else who can provide answers. His disregard infuriates the monster, who had expected its summoned servant to kneel in obedience. Unable to tolerate such disrespect, the monster decides that Lu must be disciplined. Without warning, Rhine uses a dark chanting spell to shackle Lu in place. Lu struggles to understand what is happening. As he watches, Rhine prepares to blast him across the field, claiming it will make him obedient. Just as Rhine is about to attack, a massive entity crashes down onto him, shattering his form and breaking the chains that held Lu captive. As Lu regains his footing, his eyes widen in shock at the enormous beast in front of him. Staring at the colossal figure before him, he wonders if he has entered the wrong map, unsure of how he is supposed to play this. With no other choice, he attempts to call for C, and to his relief, she responds. He asks where he is, and she explains that he has landed in the realm of pure darkness, the birthplace of the highest level bosses in the game, and the most dangerous zone imaginable. Now that things are making a little more sense, Lu asks her for advice on how to progress and whether there's any place where he can take on quests. C, asking for a moment, immediately scans for available information and finds a mission hub located a daunting 100-kilometer away. She urges him to follow her lead. Traveling towards C takes them along a cliff path with massive dragons looming over them. This terrifies Lu, but according to C, this is the shortest route. The journey soon takes them into dangerous waters, where a massive megalodon-like creature chases them. Paddling for his life, Lu asks C what to do, to which she encourages him to keep going. She also informs him about a message from his brother, who reveals that he has already reached level 5 and even acquired a green-grade staff drop. Fei then asks about Lu, assuming that he must be gaining a lot of items and XP. However, to his shock, Lu admits he's still stuck at level 1. As he is texting, another monstrous creature starts chasing them out of the water. At last, they spot their destination in the distance, a massive structure with entities forming long lines at its entrance. As they approach and notice the long queue, C estimates it would take 2 hours to get through the main gate. But Lu, scanning the area, notices another entrance with no line at all. C quickly warns him that it's not part of the planned route, but Lu has no patience left for sticking to a rigid strategy. Conventional or not, he just wants to get inside, so he rushes towards it with what little energy he has left. Without hesitation, he approaches the entrance, where two towering boar guards block his way, demanding his reason for entry. He hastily explains that he has urgent business to attend to. To his surprise, one of the guards grins, seemingly understanding his urgency. Without any fuss, they grant him passage. Stunned by how easy that was, Lu even takes a moment to thank them for being reasonable. But the moment he disappears inside, the guards erupt into laughter, shaking their heads in disbelief. One of them comments that he has no idea what danger he has just walked into. Inside, a loud announcement declares that the period for the event at Fengyun Tower has ended, followed by victorious shouts echoing from within the gate. Just when Lu thinks he's found a way out, a bright light appears at the end of the tunnel. He steps forward, embracing the light, only to be met by the booming voice of a host. Confusion washes over him as he realizes he has just been introduced as a contestant. The officials begin scanning his basic information, and to their shock, he is only a level 1 contestant. The crowd erupts in laughter, mocking him for being so weak. Even the host dismisses him as mere cannon fodder. However, the host quickly shifts the atmosphere, hyping up the audience by suggesting that maybe this fighter will surprise them. With the formalities settled, he officially declares the start of the Battlefest, sending waves of excitement through the spectators. As always, the beloved duo of commentators, Quick-Tongue Rabbit and a Turtle, take their places. Are these from the Tortoise and the Hare? Despite hearing them countless times before, the rules of the Stormcloud Arena must still be announced. There are only 3. First, every match is a one-on-one battle, and the last fighter standing wins. Second, to ensure fairness, all contestants are adjusted to match the lowest participant's level, with a minimum cap of level 10. Third, unless a contestant surrenders, victory can only be achieved by eliminating the opponent. As for rewards, the ultimate champion will receive 5,000 EXP and an epic grade weapon suited to their level. The arena then enforces the level adjustment, making history with its lowest level battle yet. Every participant, now level 10, grows frustrated. One was just 2 kills away from ranking up, and another can't even use his special move because of the level cap. Furious, they direct their anger at Lu, threatening him not to think he stands a chance. With experience on their side, they believe he is nothing more than an easy kill. It is only now that Lu realizes his mistake. Regret sets in, thinking that he should have listened to C and waited in line. However, lucky for him, since he is now level 10, even temporarily, the system acknowledges his eligibility to choose a starting class. A variety of choices appear before him, overwhelming him for a moment. Then, memories of playing with his brothers resurface. They always told him he had the perfect playstyle for an assassin. Trusting their judgment, he selects the assassin class, increasing his stats. The commentator moves on to the next phase, distributing their designated equipment. With that, Lu receives a sharp dagger, making him realize the situation might not be as bad as it seemed. If things go south, he can always surrender and walk away without consequence. But before the battle can commence, the rabbit makes an important announcement that they have invited guest instructors, and any contestant who performs exceptionally well might earn the guidance of one of these renowned figures. The first among them, standing to the left, is none other than Blood Moon City's infamous Lord Zhuang Huaishui. He is responsible for handling external warfare and strategic planning for the city. Under Lord Zhuang's command, the Northern Blood Moon Hall has produced 70% of the city's strongest young warriors, all trained under his guidance. Being noticed by Lord Zhuang is considered a great honor, offering a chance to rise to power and secure a prestigious future. The crowd erupts in excitement, chanting his name in hopes of drawing his attention. The rabbit then moves on to introduce another highly esteemed guest, Blood Moon City's renowned beauty, Lady Wu Yue. As the master of the Eastern Moon Hall, she oversees resource distribution. Beyond her looks, Lady Wu possesses immense and terrifying strength. However, she is known for being extremely selective with her disciples, and to this day, she has only taken on one student, Han, the unparalleled genius who shocked Blood Moon City by achieving 10 consecutive victories in the Wind Cloud Arena. The mention of her disciple sends a wave of murmurs through the crowd, though none dare to call out her name, knowing her reputation for being ruthless and short-tempered. Meanwhile, Lu is left stunned upon hearing the name Han. He realizes that if Lady Wu knows anything about his brother, she could be his best lead. His lingering gaze, however, does not go unnoticed. Lady Wu's sharp eyes lock onto him, and for a brief moment, she considers crushing him where he stands. But with Lord Zhuang beside her, she decides against acting impulsively. Instead, her focus shifts to a different target. Perhaps Zhuang himself should be eliminated first. With the introductions complete, the rabbit redirects everyone's attention back to the competition. The battles begin, and the first match features Bloodclaw of the Blood Lion clan, a warrior born with an epic-grade bloodline. Known for their fierce combat prowess, the Blood Lion clan dominates the battlefield, and Bloodclaw is their rising star. His razor-sharp claws have earned him the title of tournament favorite. True to his reputation, he defeats his opponent with a single devastating strike. The second match follows swiftly, featuring Bei, the zombie swordsman from the Great Sword Sect. one of the newest and most formidable factions in the South Moon Hall. As the sect's vice-captain, Bei is renowned for his ruthless precision. Many seasoned warriors have met their end at his blade. Predictably, he secures victory with ease. Next up is Gear, the dual-wielding demon from the distant wilds, who fights as a representative of Blood Moon City. His skill is undeniable, and he too claims a swift win. Suddenly, an unexpected result shakes the arena. Lu emerges victorious. The crowd is left stunned. His victory was so fast that most spectators didn't even catch how he won. Eager to keep the momentum going, the rabbit wastes no time in announcing the quarterfinals. The first match, Lu versus the dual-wielding demon Gear. As they step into the arena, Gear eyes his opponent with disdain. He scoffs and tells Lu to surrender, claiming he has no interest in fighting weaklings. In his eyes, a mere skeleton is not even worth the effort. But Lu stands motionless. Meanwhile, on the other side of the battlefield, Fei has wiped out all the goblins using his fireball spell. The girls beside him shower him with praise, making him the center of attention. However, even with all the admiration, he remains convinced that if they were to meet his second brother, they would witness what true greatness looks like. He can't help but wonder what Lu is up to and whether everything is cool with him. At that very moment, his brother faces his opponent with unwavering confidence. The rabbit is taken aback as he realizes that this so-called cannon fodder actually has a spine. Yet, Gear remains unimpressed, looking down on Lu and planning to give him a fight he will remember. Without hesitation, he unleashes his strike slash, instantly closing the gap and delivering a powerful strike. To his shock, Lu manages to evade the attack. Gear dismisses it as pure luck and repeats the move, only for Lu to dodge once again. Annoyed, Gear switches to his void-tearing slash skill, expecting a different outcome, but Lu effortlessly evades it once more, leaving the host in disbelief. How is he doing that? Our boy has already analyzed his opponent's reach, factoring in the length of his weapon and the grip of his palm. By calculating the maximum swing radius to be under 2 meters, he determines that maintaining this distance will minimize the risk of getting hit. Since Lu has already created distance, he anticipates Gear's next move. He calculates that the most probable attack will be another flash strike, a linear charge skill that momentarily immobilizes its user. If he times it right, he can turn this into his opportunity to strike. Meanwhile, the audience is trashing Gear with their murmurs and doubts fueling his anger. Frustrated and humiliated by a so-called cannon fodder, he finally snaps. Determined to crush Lu, he fully commits to his flash strike. However, just as Lu predicted, the moment Gear executes the move, he is left vulnerable. Seizing his chance, Lu strikes with a perfectly timed critical hit, ending the match in an instant. Gear barely has time to register what happened as his dreams of becoming the Lord of Oblivion are shattered. The crowd erupts in shock and excitement, having just witnessed the underdog reach the finals like that. Now all eyes are on him for the upcoming final. Even Zhuang finds Lu intriguing. However, Wu remains unimpressed, assuming Lu is just a bit clever and nothing extraordinary. Yet, since he has at least kept her entertained, she decides to observe him a little longer. Zhuang agrees with her reasoning, believing that a weak bloodline will always be a limitation no matter what. The tournament moves forward to the next match, one that many believe to be the true championship battle. Bloodclaw faces off against the zombie swordsman Bei. Bloodclaw, like many before him, warns Bei that he has no chance of winning. But Bei remains unfazed, standing firm in his belief that as long as he wields his sword, nothing can stop him. With unshaken resolve, he executes a powerful combination skill, Flowing Water Slash, a fusion of Water Slash and Flash Strike, making him 5 times faster than Gear's Flash Strike. As it nears its target, Bei stands confident, ready to show the price Bloodclaw has to pay for underestimating him. However, he quickly realizes that he is not the one in control. Bloodclaw looks at Bei's weapon and without hesitation, bites down on it. With the weapon rendered useless, it's now Bloodclaw's turn to strike. Using his explosive Fury Claw, he finishes the fight in one swift move. Even after his opponent is lifeless, Bloodclaw continues to insult him, showing no regard for the dead. The crowd erupts with excitement, chanting his name as if they have already found their champion. Zhuang shares the same thought, deeming Bloodclaw a worthy candidate to nurture despite his impure bloodline. Meanwhile, Lu senses something is off. He refuses to believe that the lion could actually bite through Bei's weapon. Given that all weapons are supplied by the arena, they should be indestructible under normal circumstances. This could only mean one thing. Despite being reduced to level 10, Bloodclaw base attributes far exceed the average limit. Before he can think on it further, Bloodclaw issues a direct challenge to him. However, Lu remains unfazed, wondering if his analysis is correct. He doesn't have a match for Bloodclaw, but winning this competition is the only way to get close to Wu, even though he knows he is at a disadvantage and the commentator is urging him to forfeit. However, giving up is not an option as his only family left in this world is his big brother and Fei, and he refuses to back down out of fear. No matter how difficult the challenge, he will keep moving forward. With this resolve, the match begins. Bloodclaw is more than eager to mock Lu, viewing him as a mere low-ranked creature too foolish to handle provocation. Standing tall, he declares that he will devour Lu as his victory feast. Yet none of his words seem to shake Lu. Instead, Lu stares at him as if he were already dead. Then, without hesitation, Lu leaps toward the lion. Bloodclaw instantly notices how much slower he is compared to the swordsman from before, so slow in fact, that he casually lifts one hand to stop him. But just as he is about to make contact, Lu vanishes. Bloodclaw barely has time to react before Lu is suddenly behind him. Even though he dodged the first attack, he now realizes something crucial. Lu is an assassin, and was merely pretending to be slow to catch him off guard. Bloodclaw immediately counters with a long-range attack, only to watch in frustration as Lu dodges it again. The lion's smirk fades as he now understands that he is dealing with an opponent who won't let him land a single clean hit. Worse yet, he feels a sudden sting. Somehow, in the middle of all this, he has been injured. Bloodclaw's eyes widen in shock. He has no idea how Lu managed to land a hit, and the realization infuriates him. He walks toward Lu while trash-talking the crap out of him. He activates his ability, Blood War, boosting his power and critical strike chance by 20% for 15 seconds. Seeing Bloodclaw unleash his skills, the crowd assumes the so-called cannon fodder actually matches his strength. Even Wu grows curious about what this low-level monster with a basic bloodline might do next. It's rare for her to find such entertainment in a fight like this. Bloodclaw leaps at Lu, unleashing a barrage of blows. Lu blocks each hit, but he knows he can't hold out for long. Absorbing too much, he stumbles with his crumbling guard. Bloodclaw seizes the moment, ready to crush Lu completely. He mocks him, telling him to stay down like the garbage he is. But just as Bloodclaw closes in with his ultimate move, Lu reveals his trick. He's been pretending all along, waiting for Bloodclaw to use his big move. That attack, though powerful, leaves Bloodclaw unable to turn for half a second. Lu takes his shot, triggering his backstab skill to teleport behind Bloodclaw and strike. The plan might work on others, but not Bloodclaw. He counters with his bloodline skill, Blood Rage Roar, freezing all enemies within 5 meters for 1.5 seconds. The crowd gasps, stunned. Zhuang decides right then to mentor Bloodclaw, impressed by his talent. Wu, though, feels disappointed. She's finally interested in a fighter after so long, but Lu's lack of skill might doom him. Sure enough, Bloodclaw slashes Lu's arm. As he steps back, Lu's brittle bones snap, revealing their weakness. His legs give out too. Everyone believes the fight is over. Now, they wait to see if the skeleton surrenders or clings to a hopeless end. Bloodclaw, however, has no mercy in mind. He laughs at the skeleton's broken state, plotting ways to shame him further. However, Lu is also waiting for him to take the bait. Bloodclaw trash talks, saying that maybe snapping Lu's bones one by one or kicking his skull like a toy would be a good idea. Lu, meanwhile, stays calm. He's pleased, sensing his trap is about to spring and counting Bloodclaw's steps. Bloodclaw steps forward, grinding his foot into Lu's severed leg to taunt him. Unknowingly, he walks right into the plan. Lu tosses his dagger ahead, a weak move that Bloodclaw easily deflects, thinking it's an act of desperation. But Lu still controls his other hand. He hurls the blade again, pairing it with his backstab skill. In one swift motion, he teleports and lands a brutal hit on the mighty lion. The lion drops instantly, shocking the entire crowd, including Zhuang and Wu. As Rabbit struggles to get the words out, the other commentator steps in to break the silence. Tired of being interrupted all match, he seizes his moment. Calling himself the Rampaging Turtle, he takes it upon himself to explain everything. He tells the crowd that this has been part of Lu's clever scheme from the start. First, he shows off his speed, striking the strongest despite his own frailty. Then he taunts Bloodclaw, making him mad. When Bloodclaw gets serious, Lu fakes weakness, tricking him into using his big attack. The best part about all this is everyone thinks Bloodclaw cut off Lu's arm and leg, but it was Lu who did it himself. Just when all seems lost, he triggers his skeleton resurrection skill, allowing him to control a fallen bone for a short time, setting up his stunning comeback. He takes down a stronger foe despite being outmatched. The Rampaging Turtle gives Lu the name Zhan Yue Moonslayer. However, although the lion is down bad, Lu tries to finish him off. Zhuang, however, dislikes this idea. He wants Bloodclaw as his student and steps in. He pushes Lu back and unleashes a skill to wipe him out. Luckily, Wu also arrives, taking Lu's side. She jumps in to save him, blasting Zhuang with her heavenly piercing finger. Her raw power pierces a hole through Zhuang's shoulder, causing him to complain and demand answers. Wu ignores him, scooping up what remains of Lu, whom she has taken a liking to. She declares that he's hers now. Wu finishes fixing Lu, bringing him back to his old self. He's amazed that his patched-up bones aren't just healed, they're tougher than ever. His thoughts are cut off when Wu powers up another strike, glaring at the rabbit and turtle duo. She warns them to announce the results fast, or she'll poke them both. Scared, they hop to it right after her threat. They declare Lu the new champion of the Stormcloud Arena. The system tallies his winnings, granting him 5,000 experience points. He jumps to level 15 and picks up a new perk, Shadow Step, which boosts his speed by 20%. His stats shoot up, and then comes his next prize, an epic weapon fit for his level and style, the Bloodstain Blade. It converts 10% of his damage into healing, a rare vampiric perk that shocks the commentators. It's perfect for long fights, a key advantage for what's ahead. Wu doesn't waste a second. She tells her new sidekick they're kicking off the Stormcloud catastrophe. Lu, new to this whole Stormcloud setup, has no clue what that means. He asks, and the rabbit gets it, breaking it down. The Stormcloud platform splits into 2 phases. The arena battle picks the champion, then the catastrophe drops that champion into the player world as a timed boss. For 1 hour, the boss, him, has to survive and hunt players for experience and points. Those points can be traded for powerful skills, weapons, or status boosts. As the rabbit is explaining, Zhuang starts screaming in rage, furious that Wu hit him. He reminds her that he is the North Hall Lord and demands to know if she's trying to start a war. She stays quiet, so he threatens to report her to the city lord. Still ignored, he switches to insults, calling her a greedy schemer out to steal his army supplies and rebel. They both start arguing like two Chihuahua dogs. Seeing this, Lu, along with the commentators, bolts from the scene. Before chaos erupts, Lu asks to be taken to the next event. Suddenly a portal opens, but Wu warns Lu not to flop. If he can't take out 1,000 players, he shouldn't bother coming back. He drops into the player world, and his random achievement manual kicks in. Since he's past level 10, it spits out a mission: kill 1,000 players, just as Wu said. Lucky for him, the system announces his arrival to everyone, urging them to hunt him. He lands near some newbie, gearless players, which are a bunch of easy targets. Before he swings, a cheat item detects his level up and auto-equips, boosting his stats. It upgrades every 10 levels, granting him a random assassin skill with a chance to swap it later. As the system picks a skill, 4 newbie players charge from all sides. He dodges every hit with ease. The system finally selects a skill for Lu, Hunting Scourge Blade. This lets him unleash 4 quick slashes on a target, starting at 110% damage and climbing to 150% by the last hit. If the skill kills someone, the slashes keep going, locking onto a random foe within 10 meters. It also packs a strong bonus. Each kill adds a 150% physical damage slash. Smart as he is, Lu knows how to maximize it. He carves through enemies, hitting hard and fast. He figures if he weakens a bunch of players first and then triggers the skill, his hunting power doubles. It's like he's unlocked an auto-kill mode. After slicing them up, he calls C to ask if others can track him. She confirms, revealing that the system broadcasts his location in real time. That only fires him up with dark energy pulsing around him. As players swarm in, he unleashes his wild side, tearing through them like a train. After that, he perches on a tree branch, considering his next move. Fewer players are showing up now, and since he can't loot their gear, staying put seems pointless. Before he hops down, a greedy solo player struts in, excited. This guy plans to snatch all the dropped weapons for himself. Lu isn't having it. He instantly slits the guy's throat in one swift motion. As the player digitally vanishes, Lu starts scanning for more targets. That's when the next wave of greedy players arrives. In an instant, Lu slashes through them all like flies. His kill count ticks up to 444, but it's still not enough. Rather than waiting, he decides to go hunting. But that last encounter sparks an idea. He sends his current location to his brother, hinting that he's got something good waiting. His brother assumes it's a gift or some kind of help for his journey and races over. But when he arrives, he freezes, stunned to see hundreds of player corpses scattered around. Meanwhile, in another part of the forest, lightning splits the sky as a lone player, Luna, takes down an epic boss single-handedly. Known as the Moonlight Knight, with the prestigious Dazzling Nova title, earned by ranking among the region's top 100. She radiates power as she claims her latest prize, Heart of Resilience, an epic bracelet that boosts her stats and has a 20% chance to activate during control attacks, increasing her resistance by 20 points. Perched on a tree branch, Lu watches in awe. It's the first time he's ever seen someone solo an epic boss. Curious, he asks C to pull up details on the Moonlight Knight class. She finds the info in seconds. It's a rare swordsman class that balances strong stats with attacks blending both physical and magical damage. Easy to pick up, but with immense potential in the right hands. Meanwhile, Luna senses someone watching her. She scans her surroundings, but before she can pinpoint the source, a group of shady-looking players interrupts her thoughts. They try to swindle her out of her epic bracelet, but Luna isn't easily fooled. Rather than entertain their tricks, she offers a challenge. If they want it so badly, they'll have to fight for it. One of them, a cocky smooth talker, tries to charm his way out of it, even flirting for her number. Luna shuts him down without hesitation, daring him and his crew to prove their strength. Thinking they have the upper hand, they leap at the chance, only to be cut down effortlessly by her starlight slash. As his allies crumble, the leader of the group realizes he's in way over his head. Desperate, he name-drops his guild, warning Luna that they'll hunt her down if she kills him. But Luna doesn't care. With a clean, precise slice, she leaves a scar across his face. With that settled, Luna calls out to the watcher above. Without hesitation, Lu drops down. Up close, she's taken aback that he's a boss-level monster. Just as surprised that she spotted him, Lu hesitates. They both know that a fight between them would be brutal and frankly, not worth it. Before they can decide their next move, a swarm of players emerges from the shadows, surrounding them. The crowd splits into 2 crews, one out for Luna's blood after she scarred their leader, the other targeting Lu as a raid boss. With no clear way out, Luna and Lu lock eyes. Then, without a word, they charge at each other, only to fake it. At the last second, they veer off in opposite directions, slipping past the groups that weren't after them. The trick works. The mobs ignore them, allowing both to escape. but their pursuers quickly catch on and give chase. In the chaos, the two groups slam into each other, neither willing to give way. Shoving turns to scrapping, and suddenly it's a full-blown brawl. Exactly as planned, Luna and Lu double back, ambushing the tangled mess from all sides. With allies mixed in, players start swinging wildly, making everything worse. Friendly fire sparks a chain reaction, and soon, they're fighting each other instead of their real targets. The strongest among them hold on, convinced they've dealt with Luna and Lu, until Lu unleashes his hunting scourge blade. Like a relentless kill machine, he mows down anyone in his path. His player kill count hits 999. As the dust settles, Luna remains standing. Without hesitation, they lunge at each other, ready to end it once and for all. But just like that, the system chimes in, congratulating Lu on completing the random achievement task. Somewhere else, Luna sits in a wheelchair, gazing at the ocean. She belongs to the wealthy Bai family. Luna looks weak, the VR helmet resting in her hand. Her maid asks if she's hungry, but she denies it. After that, she goes to her room and writes down notes about the boss she just encountered in the game. The scene shifts to Lu stepping through the portal. As he does, his random achievement pings. He's hit 1,000 kills, earning a mythical item, Enchanted Divine Earrings. These allow him to switch races, gaining new appearances, a racial talent, and language skills. He's pleased that this prize is both versatile and powerful. The system chimes again, praising his Stormcloud Catastrophe run, awarding him 1,000 contribution points and enough experience to reach level 21. He also acquires a new skill, Rending Burst Blade, which boosts his next attack to 180% damage, ignores 20% of a foe's defense, and has a 20% chance to make them bleed. Emerging from the portal, he is greeted by a roaring crowd. Even the commentators hype up his 1,000 kill record, dubbing him the rising star of Stormcloud. However, Zhuang is not thrilled. Lu shrugs off the skeptics, focusing instead on Wu, who stands ahead. She seems impressed that he didn't let her down. Deeming him worth her time, she flicks her hand, opening a portal and telling him to follow. They step into a hidden place, Blood Moon City's evolutionary blood pool. Lu is amazed because nothing like this exists in the game he knows. As he puzzles over it, Wu cuts in, asking if he understands why Bloodclaw, despite being leveled down to match him, still crushed others so easily. Lu nods confidently and reveals the answer: bloodlines. Just like gear varies in quality, a monster's strength depends on its lineage, and his is the weakest. Looking around, Lu asks if this place is meant to break through bloodline attributes, and Wu confirms it. According to her, it is one of the secret realms under her jurisdiction, and he can choose any area he likes to strengthen himself. With a smirk, she adds that his evolution depends on his luck. Meanwhile, in Blood Moon City's North Hall, Zhuang is furious at Wu for humiliating him. He also blames Lu for causing him to lose face. His assistant tries to calm him down, assuring him that defending the Lion Clan will enhance his reputation and prove his loyalty to them. Despite this, Zhuang's anger remains. The assistant then whispers a provocative idea into his ear, one that Zhuang immediately takes a liking to. Back in the secret realm, Lu absorbs the blood energy from his surroundings while Wu observes him. She can't hide her fascination that his absorption speed is remarkably fast, indicating his incredible potential. However, her thoughts are soon interrupted when someone calls her name. Turning around, she sees the Black Death Guards from the City Lord's mansion. They inform her that the City Lord has summoned her to the main city immediately. She refuses to comply so easily, as she is preoccupied at the moment. She asks them to wait until she is available, but since they are not her subordinates, they have no intention of following her wishes. The captain then presents the City Lord's blood summon decree, a direct order that requires immediate compliance. Failure to obey results in instant execution. Left with no choice, Wu agrees to go with them. Before departing, she leaves Lu with a cryptic warning about occasional rockfalls in the nearby mountains, advising him to stay alert to avoid being crushed. After she departs with the guards, the captain smirks, satisfied that everything is proceeding as planned. Moments later, Lu's evolution nears completion as the blood energy surrounding him increases, gradually enveloping his entire body. Before long, Lu is nowhere to be seen, completely submerged in the blood. This is exactly the moment his enemies have been waiting for, when he is unable to halt his evolution and is left defenseless. Without hesitation, the commander of the Shadow Squad signals his subordinates to attack. They waste no time in following his command. However, what they fail to realize is that Lu's absorption process is much faster than they anticipated. He awakens just in time, unleashing a devastating force that sends his attackers flying. Meanwhile, Wu and the guards continue their trek up the mountain. The captain grins, satisfied that even a powerful entity like Wu is forced to comply after receiving the blood summoning order. But his confidence is short-lived when, to his surprise, Wu suddenly stops following them and casually takes a seat on a rock. When he demands an explanation, she simply ignores him, content to enjoy the view of the blood pool below, where several overconfident assassins are now racing to take Lu down for the credit. The fastest assassin reaches Lu's resting spot first, slicing through the blood sphere in an attempt to finish him off. The formation shatters, and they stand ready to confirm their kill. Yet to their shock, Lu is still in one piece. Confusion spreads among the assassins, especially the one who landed the attack, as he is certain his blade made contact. Determined to finish the job, they rush in for another strike, only to be stopped in their tracks. As they get a clearer look at their target, pure disbelief fills their eyes. Lu has completed his evolution, emerging with an aura so overwhelming that they freeze. But before they can even process the situation, Lu moves. In an instant, he decapitates both attackers. The commander, stunned by what he just witnessed, quickly regains focus. He knows that there's no time to waste. They must complete their mission. Without hesitation, he orders a coordinated assault. The squad launches their attack with precision, working together flawlessly. Yet, Lu effortlessly takes a single step back, dodging them with ease. He knows they are far too slow for him now. Before they can even comprehend what just happened, Lu is clutching their hearts in his hand, killing them all. But the commander refuses to let that insult slide. He launches a full-force assault on Lu, each strike carrying an intense aura that amplifies his strength several times over. However, Lu remains completely unfazed, dodging effortlessly, as if this fight is nothing to him. Seeing the commander charge again, a sly, almost mocking grin spreads across his face. At that moment, the commander comes to a harsh realization. He is completely outmatched. Before he can even react, Lu strikes. In an instant, his left arm is torn clean off. Staggering back, he clutches the wound, barely able to process what just happened. All the intelligence he had on Lu was completely misleading. Despite that, he knows he has no other choice but to eliminate Lu. He was entrusted with this mission by Zhuang, and failure is not something he is willing to accept. Screaming with determination, he calls upon the hidden assassins still lying in wait. They immediately understand the urgency and begin the blood sacrifice ritual, taking their own lives to channel their energy into empowering their commander. The ritual's effects are immediate. His strength surges, and even his severed arm regenerates as if it had never been lost. Now, with newfound power coursing through him, he sets his sights on mangling Lu. Lu remains calm, viewing the commander as nothing more than an insignificant obstacle. To prove his dominance, he deliberately throws himself into the enemy's range. As he closes the distance, he suddenly reverts to his skeletal form, deceiving the commander into believing Lu's evolution is failing. Emboldened by this perceived weakness, the commander attacks with renewed confidence. However, Lu effortlessly evades each strike. Seizing the perfect opportunity, he shifts back into his demonic form mid-movement, and, in a single decisive motion, decapitates the commander. A look of sheer disbelief is frozen on the commander's face as his headless body crumples to the ground. Meanwhile, Wu watches from the sidelines, applauding Lu's flawless execution. She is more than satisfied with the outcome. Lu, however, is more interested in uncovering the truth. He inquires whether these assassins were connected to Zhuang, to which Wu confirms, revealing that even the guards who had taken her were affiliated with the same faction. However, she had already dealt with them in her own way. This revelation makes Lu realize that Wu had known their motives from the very beginning. The realization leads him to suspect that this ordeal may have been orchestrated as a second test. But to Lu's embarrassment, Lady Wu seems more interested in his junior than his transformation. Noticing where her attention is fixated, Lu quickly shields himself from her stare. However, to his further embarrassment, Wu, clearly unbothered, commands him to remove his hands. Amused yet satisfied with his performance, she offers him a single wish, granting him the opportunity to request anything he desires. Yet Lu is no simp. Instead of indulging in her teasing, he asks about the whereabouts of his brother, Han. Upon hearing the name, Wu sighs before delivering the devastating news. Han is already gone. Upon hearing this, Lu momentarily freezes, then presses Wu for more details. However, before answering, she reminds him that this is his second question, according to their earlier agreement. Yet, recognizing the depth of his pain, she chooses to oblige. First, however, she seeks to understand his desperation. She asks why he is so determined to uncover the fate of her former disciple. Without hesitation, Lu reveals the truth. Han is his elder brother. As he speaks, memories from his past resurface. He recalls the orphanage, a place whose name he can no longer remember. In that cruel world, bullies roamed freely, preying upon the weak. Lu and Fei had suffered at their hands multiple times. One day, as the bullies tormented them, threatening to tear apart Fei's beloved teddy bear, Han appeared from behind and smacked them left and right. The beating was enough to send them running. Curious, Lu asked Han who he was and why he had helped them. With a slick smile, Han introduced himself and offered some advice. No matter how difficult a situation gets, always smile. He then made a promise. He would protect them, no matter how bad things became. Back in the present, Wu watches the expression on Lu's face and recalls her own time with Han. She remembers how he used to ask for leftover items, things most would discard, just so he could give them to his brothers. Recalling this, she mentions a place called the Infernal Purgatory. However, Lu remains confused, unable to grasp what she means. Wu then recounts how everything changed after Han successfully defended his title as the Stormcloud King by defeating the King of Knights, Daegudan. This remarkable victory marked his 10th consecutive win, cementing his reputation as a legendary figure. As usual, he entered the Stormcloud Catastrophe event. But this time, something was different. He never returned. Even after 4 hours had passed, there was no sign of him. It was an anomaly, as participants were typically forced back once the event ended. Yet Han remained missing. Growing increasingly concerned, Wu exhausted every resource at her disposal, searching tirelessly for him. Despite her efforts, it took an extensive amount of time before she finally uncovered his last known location, a realm called the Infernal Purgatory. Now that she knows where Han is, Lu questions why she hasn't simply gone there to retrieve him. Wu explains that an unknown force blocks access to the realm, preventing her from teleporting in or intervening in any way. Faced with this challenge, Lu racks his brain for a solution, but none present themselves. Determined to move forward, he reaches out to Si, requesting her assistance in locating relevant information about the Infernal Purgatory. However, the moment she attempts to access the data, she begins to malfunction. Moments later, a system notification appears, indicating an error. Realizing this route is a dead end, Lu has no choice but to investigate the database himself. Si informs him that he lacks the necessary privileges to proceed, yet Lu remains undeterred. Having played a crucial role in the game's creation, he possesses an in-depth understanding of its mechanics and is confident in his ability to bypass these restrictions. Switching to manual input mode, he begins working on a solution. Lu inputs the secret codes. As each clue aligns perfectly, he becomes more certain this place holds the answers he seeks. As he successfully bypasses the system, he finds himself surrounded by a sea of floating codes. Wasting no time, he opens a system tab to retrieve the code for Infernal Purgatory. However, as soon as he enters the term, system errors flood the interface, warning him that any further action would be classified as an illegal intrusion, resulting in forced ejection from the system. Refusing to back down, he commands the system to open the source code, but instead of gaining access, he watches in disbelief as the code begins to overwrite itself. The anomaly leaves him stunned, but before he can react, he is forcibly ejected and abruptly finds himself back with Wu. She does not acknowledge his sudden disappearance, instead continuing their conversation as if uninterrupted. She reiterates that she has shared all she knows and suggests that if he remains doubtful, he should uncover the truth for himself. Realizing he has no choice but to investigate firsthand, Lu prepares to journey there himself. Before departing, he requests another favor, but Wu reminds him that this would be his third request, meaning he cannot expect more assistance for now. However, she unexpectedly changes her mind, allowing him to ask. Without hesitation, he inquires about directions to the other realm. Wu informs him that the only known method is through the Stormcloud catastrophe, which he has already completed and is bound by a time restriction. She expresses concern, pointing out that even Han, after awakening twice in the evolution blood pool, was unable to return, and given Lu's current state, impatience could be dangerous. However, Lu barely registers her words, as he is lost in thought, unwilling to remain idle when he is so close to finding his brother. Before he can devise a solution, Si intervenes, revealing that she knows a method to cross over. She instructs him to follow her, and without hesitation, he complies. Wu, however, remains unaware of Si's presence and grows confused by Lu's actions. When she questions him, he explains that he has found a way to reach the player's world, what she refers to as the other side. This revelation intrigues her, as she wonders how he has come upon this knowledge, but sensing his urgency, she postpones her questions. Meanwhile, in the player's realm, a massive explosion erupts amid a dense forest, incinerating a swarm of moth-like creatures. The devastation is the work of the powerful firestorm mage Fei, who has now reached level 23. His mastery of flames not only secures his dominance on the battlefield, but also draws the admiration of several female players. Enthralled by his fiery prowess and charisma, they flock around him. Despite Fei's eyes on something else, he shifts the conversation by inquiring about the whereabouts of a high-paying equipment merchant that the girls had previously mentioned. The girls confirm the merchant's proximity, and he continues his journey with enthusiasm, looking forward to meeting the vendor they so highly recommended. In a show of generosity, he even promises to treat the girls to new equipment after completing his transactions. However, as Fei ventures deeper into the woods, he notices a group of players blocking his path. Suddenly, more players emerge from all directions, surrounding him. Their nefarious intentions become immediately apparent when they refer to him as their scapegoat. Realizing the impending danger, he quickly instructs the girls to stay behind him as he prepares his magic. To his dismay, the very individuals he was trying to protect reveal their true colors, betraying him by attacking him from behind. Confusion fills Fei's mind as he struggles to comprehend why they would betray him after his kindness. However, his questions are soon answered in the most unexpected way when he overhears the guild members referring to these supposed beauties as his brother. To his astonishment, the three alluring figures from the North Guild are, in reality, men in real life. This revelation fuels Fei's fury, not due to the loss of wealth, but because of the betrayal of his trust and emotions. Determined to exact revenge, he prepares to retaliate. However, before he can strike, his enemies launch their assault. Fei proves faster than they anticipate, delivering a fiery punch that knocks two of them down instantly. More men charge at him from behind, but he counters with a powerful area of effect fire attack, taking down several at once. Despite his prowess, he is outnumbered, and the battle begins to take its toll. An arrow, fired from the shadows, nearly strikes him, but his extraordinary reflexes allow him to block it at the last moment. As the battle intensifies, a feline warrior closes in for the kill. Faye successfully deflects the attack using his abilities, but his mana reserves are dangerously low. The situation becomes dire, as he has already exhausted his potions during earlier level grinding, and even gifted some to the deceptive players. Recognizing his dwindling strength, his enemies confidently assert their dominance, revealing their true objective, the valuable equipment he obtained from the limited-time boss. They warn him against resistance, informing him that their guild has surrounded the area. If he refuses to comply, they vow to camp his corpse until every last piece of his equipment drops. Frustrated and cornered, Faye lets out a deep sigh before unleashing a torrent of insults. Enraged by his mockery, the white-haired leader of the guild prepares to strike him down. Accepting his fate, Faye silently apologizes to his second brother for failing to protect the wealth entrusted to him. Just as the fatal blow is about to land, a shadow materializes behind the white-haired leader, delivering a lethal strike that kills him instantly. The mysterious figure is none other than Lu. Seeing Lu, Faye is momentarily surprised, but quickly grows excited as he realizes it's really his brother, now in his human race transformation and at level 23. As Lu inquires about the situation, Faye immediately launches into his usual annoying crying act, pleading with his brother and insisting that it was the ladies who tried to rob him. The so-called ladies, or rather femboys, initially appear concerned upon seeing Lu. However, their worry quickly turns into excitement as they eye him, suspecting he might be carrying valuable items. Just as they prepare to attack, they suddenly realize that their entire group has already been wiped out. Before they can even react, Faye flashes behind them and, with a mocking tone, questions whether they were really threatening him just moments ago. One of the femboys hurriedly denies it, but it's already too late. Without hesitation, Lu and Faye swiftly defeat them and walk away as if nothing happened. As they continue, Lu shares information about the Infernal Purgatory, a mysterious place he recently learned about, which may hold clues about their missing brother. However, Faye dismisses it, claiming that no such location exists. Lu, though skeptical, knows that even if it is real, their current strength is nowhere near enough to reach it. For now, they decide to head to the nearest town. After a long walk, they arrive at the southern suburbs, in a place known as Nakenda Town. As they stroll through the streets, Lu gradually realizes that the town feels oddly familiar. Meanwhile, Faye is too busy shamelessly flirting with random NPCs to notice anything. At a nearby equipment recycling shop, two players eagerly hope to score a rare purple-grade item, knowing that lesser gear hardly sells for much. Lu steps forward and presents his premium-grade equipment. The shopkeeper, inspecting it carefully, declares its worth 95,000 gold. Faye nearly jumps in excitement, realizing that this amount is equivalent to tens of thousands in real-world cash. Just as the deal is about to be finalized, Lu casually praises the shopkeeper's hair, an obscure in-game Easter egg. To Faye's shock, the shopkeeper beams with pride and without hesitation increases the trade price by an extra 10%. Faye is confused, to which Lu explains that he designed the Easter egg himself. This amazes Faye so much that if he were a girl, he would definitely smash Lu for real. After receiving 100,000 gold, they earn a tons of wealth achievement. As Faye walks through the town, he becomes the center of attention because of it. After that, they head to the auction hall to sell the remaining items. A long line stretches outside the hall, where two twin guards block the entrance, demanding a 10,000 gold fee just to enter. A young player at the front of the line pleads with the guards, explaining that he's just a little short, but they refuse him, causing the onlookers to mock him for wasting their time. However, to the boy's shock, Lu and Faye take him with them. Seeing Faye's tons of wealth title, the guards immediately open the gate and respectfully guide them inside. Inside, a grand hall is filled with other wealthy players. The young boy thanks them both and promises to repay their kindness someday before leaving. After a while, a lady arrives and hands Faye a VIP black gold card, claiming that she will guide him through the process. She explains the card's features. Faye can enter without queuing. The auction house will take only a 5% commission, and he can easily get a loan using the card. Out of habit, Faye starts flirting with the assistant, making Lu sigh in embarrassment. However, Lu's attention shifts when he notices a woman swiftly passing by him. The assistant lady guides them to their private room, where they sit at a tea table as she explains the details of the auction. According to her, epic equipment is in high demand, and the lightsaber, Stardust, they acquired will be submitted to the ultimate auction to secure a high price. She suggests that they participate in the auction, as they might find something useful. However, Faye ignores everything she says and flirts non-stop, prompting Lu to smack him on the head before handing a list of desired items to the assistant. After a while, the ultimate auction begins. The auctioneer hypes up the audience, revealing that they have some truly exceptional items for the day. The first treasure up for bidding is the Roaring Heart of Flame, a powerful artifact effective for fire attributes and highly effective against woody monsters. The bidding starts at 25,000 gold and quickly escalates to 50,000, raised by guest number 9. This shocks the auction attendees, as the item had previously sold for a maximum of 28,000. Guest number 8, an elf named Xiao, is accompanied by a woman who is clearly a gold digger. He ultimately wins the Roaring Heart of Flame, upsetting 2 players who had come specifically for it. As one of them asks about Xiao, the other explains that he is a crypto magnate, advising against causing trouble and suggesting they wait for another opportunity. Meanwhile, Fei also thinks that 50,000 for that item is way too much. The host then introduces the next item, a special custom piece called Loving Maid, which transforms the wearer into a maid. As the bidding begins, one guest comes out on top with a bid of 66,000 and wins it. However, to everyone's shock, the guest, more like a femboy, puts it on immediately, looking like a full-fledged drag queen. The next item is an epic tier piece of equipment, the Lone Wolf's Battle Boots, which have a 2% chance of triggering Axel mode while moving. As the host reveals the starting price of 40,000, Xiao instantly raises it to 80,000, enraging the other bidders. After that, Xiao continues outbidding most of the following items, forcing other players to leave the hall in frustration since they can't win a single bid. Fei is pissed too, but Lu remains calm, claiming that they will need Xiao's help for their own item, which is coming up next. Finally, the host presents the last item, Stardust, the one Fei and Lu submitted. According to the host, this rare item possesses light attribute attacks that become effective after reaching level 30. As the starting price is revealed, Xiao immediately places a bold bid of 250,000, confident that no one will outbid him. However, to his shock, Fei, sitting in the back, raises the bid. This surprises Xiao, leading to an intense bidding war between them. As Fei reaches 500,000, Xiao hesitates, considering whether to let it go. But his pride and addiction to the thrill of winning push him to raise the bid to 600,000. Fei, feeling a bit nervous, prepares to outbid again, but Lu stops him, forcing the host to start counting down on Xiao's bid. Just as the countdown is about to end, a voice from the back suddenly places a 1,000,000 bid, instantly securing the item. The crowd falls silent as a mysterious girl wins over everyone. As the auction ends, Fei is thrilled about earning such a huge amount, while Lu starts calculating their total earnings. However, to his shock, even after receiving 1 million, the number on their VIP card barely changes. This means that there are far wealthier players in the city above them. Still, they choose to ignore it, as today, they have earned more than enough to meet their goals. After the auction, they start heading toward Bush Coal Village. As usual, Fei is yapping away, filling the air with his chatter, when Lu suddenly senses something off. Someone is following them. His sharp instincts kick in, and he calls out to the stalker. A figure steps forward from the shadows. It's the girl who placed $1 million bid on the lightsaber. Fei immediately assumes she's here to rob them, but she quickly clarifies her intentions. She simply wants to know how they got the weapon, as she was the one who originally dropped it while battling a powerful boss. The girl is Luna, who previously fought Lu in his monster form. Fei, thinking on his feet, claims that it was his brother who obtained the weapon by defeating the limited-time boss. This revelation instantly excites Luna, and she eagerly requests a sparring match. However, Lu dismisses the idea and turns away, uninterested. But Luna is determined. She wants to test his strength firsthand. As they near Bush Coal Village, Fei curiously presses Lu for details about their upcoming quest. Lu explains that it isn't particularly difficult. The village is surrounded by monsters from all sides, drawn by a young girl who possesses holy light within her body. Their mission is straightforward: eliminate the surrounding monsters and escort the girl safely to the Temple of Holy Light. Soon after, they arrive at the village. Without wasting a second, Fei charges in, ready to clear a path ahead. Fei, however, mistakes 2 Beast Girl villagers for monsters and charges toward them, only to halt mid-strike when he realizes his mistake. The Beast Girls light up with excitement at the sight of an adventurer. Wasting no time, they eagerly take him by the arm and guide him through the town. As they walk, the entire village buzzes with excitement. People gather to catch a glimpse of the newcomers with their eyes filled with admiration and curiosity. Even the village chief makes a dramatic Superman entrance, greeted by applause and cheers. Fei, however, is a bit confused as this doesn't match the grim, monster-ridden village Lu described earlier. Lu, watching the spectacle unfold, theorizes that while the village's appearance and setting may have changed, the core story and its characters likely remain the same. The chief enthusiastically invites them to join a grand banquet, an announcement that sends the villagers into an uproar of joy. It's clear that this village has an intense love for celebrations. As they are escorted toward the feast, Lu seizes the opportunity to ask about the purple medic flower, a rare bloom that grows in their village. At the mention of the flower, an elderly villager stiffens, and instead of answering, he insists they enjoy the banquet first, making Lu instantly suspicious. When the banquet begins, the beastmen waste no time digging in. They eat like wild pigs. I mean, they are pigs, so it seems only natural. Fei, seeing the food, gets excited, but Lu brushes him off, reminding him that they need to find the mission NPC first. As they look around, they eventually spot a little beast girl holding an apple. Lu places a hand on her shoulder and asks if she wants to go to the Temple of Holy Light with them. The girl, with tears of hope, turns to them and asks if they are there to save her. This successfully triggers Mission 2 in the game, and suddenly all the pigs start snorting as if the evil within them is awakening. The pigs start transforming into monstrous forms and instantly attack them. Lu and Fei, unfazed, kill both of the charging beast pigs in a single blow. Seeing this, the other pigs go berserk and leap leap toward the duo, triggering a full-blown brawl. After a while, Lu and Fei manage to defeat all the pigs. However, to their shock, the pigs begin regenerating and revive themselves. Fei, a bit nervous, asks Lu what to do next, but Lu is just as confused since this is completely different from the original plot of the game. As the monsters charge again, the duo fights back, knowing they will eventually be exhausted to death if they continue like this. Realizing their predicament, they decide to bolt and make a run for it. While running, they eventually hide inside a house, evading the monsters for the time being. However, just as Fei is about to speak, Luna suddenly appears out of nowhere and covers his mouth. She silences him, whispering that the monsters are still nearby and that they should talk upstairs. Once upstairs, Luna reveals that she arrived earlier than them to complete the same mission. However, she also sensed something strange about the village and decided to investigate at night. Lu agrees with her and turns to the beast girl, asking if she knows anything. But the girl is terrified. As Luna tries to calm her down, she suddenly removes her mask, revealing to everyone's shock that she is actually a human girl. According to her, Bushcoal Village was originally a calm and peaceful place, though pig monsters often roamed outside the village. However, these monsters weren't too dangerous as long as people stayed clear of them. Over time, they even began learning human behavior, which further reduced the threat they posed. One day, a holy knight named Greg from the Temple of Light visited the village. Under his guidance, the villagers performed a sacred prayer, though something about it felt strange. During the ritual, the girl experienced pain and approached Greg about it. To her shock, he told her that she was the chosen one and that she could join the temple and become one of them. However, before she could share this news with everyone, the monster pigs suddenly attacked, capturing the entire village, including Greg, who was ruthlessly killed while trying to protect them. The girl, however, somehow managed to escape and hide. Mustering up courage, she clung to the belief that she was the chosen one. She crafted a pig mask and pretended to be one of them, waiting for the right moment to run away. Now, she wants to visit the holy temple to inform them about the incident. However, Fei assures her that she can leave everything to him and his brother. They will handle it. Just as the girl excitedly thanks him, a monstrous, towering pig spots her through the window. With its massive hands, it grabs her and pulls her out. As the beast is about to devour the girl, the trio charges at it, unleashing their spells. However, with just a swing of its arm, the beast effortlessly stops their attack, mocking them for being so weak. The trio is sent flying onto the roof of a nearby house. As they regain their footing, they wonder if the beast has any weak points. Before they can come up with a plan, the beast strikes again, smashing the entire house and sending them flying along with the debris. Thinking quickly, Lu comes up with an idea and asks Fei to support him. Hearing this, Fei immediately charges at the beast with his fiery comet spell, hurling fireball after fireball to keep it distracted. Seizing the opportunity, Lu dashes toward the beast. The beast notices Lu and tries to punch him, but Lu swiftly evades the attack using backstab in combination with his hunting death blades. He counters with a deadly strike, slicing off the beast's hand. As the severed hand pieces fall, Lu catches sight of the girl trapped inside. However, before he can reach her, several small pig monsters suddenly materialize behind him and lunge at him. Just in time, Luna appears behind Lu and eliminates them all with her Starlit Waltz spell. She urges Lu to save the girl, but before they can move, the beast violently shakes its severed hand, causing both the girl and the hand to drop. At the same time, the monster lets out a deafening roar, summoning hundreds of beasts from within itself. Lu quickly realizes that the beast pig is actually a fusion of the smaller ones. However, Luna, noticing the high difficulty of the quest, suspects that defeating the beast might not be their main objective. While still airborne, they come to a realization that their true mission is to bring the girl to her destination. With that in mind, they call out to Fei, asking him to cover them. Meanwhile, Fei, who is still recovering his mana, instantly springs into action. With a burst of explosions, he blasts away all the pigs attempting to chase after Lu and Luna. On the other hand, the duo is in hot pursuit of a pig that has grabbed the little girl and is making a run for it. The pig is incredibly fast, quickly putting distance between them. As they give chase, they suddenly come across a group of zombie-like villagers trapped behind bars. Without hesitation, Lu frees them, but instead of gratitude, they simply snort in confusion. Seeing this, Luna becomes enraged, blaming Genesis for whatever happened to them. However, Lu is confused about what she means by that. Before he can ask, their conversation is abruptly interrupted by Fei's desperate screams for help. He is frantically running toward them, pursued by a massive horde of pigs trying to take his life. Meanwhile, the pig carrying the girl is still sprinting at full speed, trying to escape. After gaining some distance, the pig manages to climb onto a tower and begins terrorizing the girl. However, with the holy light within her, she swiftly summons a knife and stabs the pig in the eye. The pig lets out a deafening scream and lunges at her in rage, but just in time, Lu arrives and severs its arm with a single strike. Despite the excruciating pain, the pig is utterly confused. How is it possible that Lu is already there? 15 minutes earlier. As the trio was fleeing from the horde of pigs, Lu gave Faye and Luna a special pill that rendered them invisible, momentarily confusing their pursuers. It was a conceal pill, which causes monsters to lose track of their target for 5 seconds. While hiding, Faye couldn't help but complain about how difficult the mission was. However, according to Lu, their top priority was finding the girl. He knew they would have to think outside the box to locate her, so he quickly devised a plan and asked the others to cooperate. As the pigs continued searching the town, Lu stealthily appeared behind one of them, having transformed into a pig himself. Acting friendly, he casually asked about the little girl's whereabouts. Unaware of Lu's disguise, the pig revealed that the one who took her, Wang, was the fastest runner in their village and knew all the houses like the back of his hoof. Lu laughs and tells the pig to gather at the village entrance after capturing the humans. However, the pig corrects him, revealing that they are actually supposed to meet at the clock tower. Quickly realizing his mistake, Lu plays it off, claiming he must have had too much to drink. Suddenly, a massive explosion erupts nearby. Faye is sprinting with what looks like the little girl in his arms, while an enraged horde of pigs chases after him. This was all part of their plan, a distraction to ensure Lu could reach the clock tower without resistance. Back at the tower, Lu wastes no time. He swiftly cuts through the pig, guarding the girl, and rescues her. Reuniting with his group, they all start making their escape, but the pig horde and the massive beast are still hot on their heels. To gain an advantage, the group quickly drinks agility potions, boosting their speed by 30%. This allows them to evade the beast's attacks and escape Bushcoal village safely. However, as they put some distance between themselves and the village, they turn back, only to be shocked by what they see. The monstrous beast slams the ground, and in an instant, every pig, including itself, digitally vanishes. The pigs suddenly teleport beside them, forcing the group to sprint away in a panic, almost like a scene straight out of a Mario game. As they run in a bizarre 2D perspective, they spot an ostrich and quickly hop on, gaining some much-needed distance from their pursuers. After escaping far enough, they release the ostrich and continue on foot. Walking for a while, they come across a beautiful lake and decide to take a break. Since the pigs are still 30 minutes away, they figure a 15-minute rest will give them time to recover. Excited Faye and the little girl eagerly splash around in the water, while Luna stays back, busy checking her stats. However, noticing Luna's worried expression, the little girl gently takes her hand and offers to make her happy through prayer. As the girl prays, Luna suddenly sees a bright light, and a memory flashes before her eyes, her mother and father, calling for her to hurry as they prepare to leave for an unknown destination. The vision stirs deep emotions, and before she realizes it, a tear rolls down her cheek. The little girl, seeing this, gets nervous and apologizes, explaining that she wished for a happy memory. Luna, smiling softly, reassures her that it was a happy memory. Faye, witnessing this, suddenly gets curious and asks to try as well. As he closes his eyes, a memory unfolds. He sees himself having lunch with his brothers, while Lu and Han argue over something trivial, just like they always do. The familiar warmth of the moment makes Faye teary-eyed, but when the little girl notices and asks about it, he quickly panics and dives into the lake. Then, the little girl approaches Lu, who is sitting on a tree, and admires his fearless nature. She believes that he always has something on his mind and expresses her desire to help him. However, Lu dismisses her offer, insisting that he has nothing to recall. He believes that constantly looking back would only prevent him from moving forward. The girl then reveals that ever since she lost her parents, the villagers have taken care of her. She feels relieved to be by the side of someone as heroic as Lu. As she prays for the kind-hearted people who raised her, tears form in her eyes while she reflects on the villagers' fate. Lu attempts to comfort her, reassuring her that she has already done enough. Encouraged by his words, she wonders if she will ever become as strong as him. As Lu recalls the time when Han protected him from bullying, he becomes certain that she will. With their brief rest coming to an end, they prepare to continue their journey. However, as the little girl takes Lu's hand, the random achievement manual suddenly activates, announcing an increase in the mission's difficulty. Now Lu is tasked with defeating the king with the help of the Crunch, after successfully delivering the NPC girl to them. Meanwhile, the beast in the village continues to roar, more powerful than ever. Despite gaining distance, the pigs continue chasing them. Even though they relentlessly cut them down, the pigs recover at an alarming rate. As they flee from the horde, only 50 kilometers remain until they reach the Holy Temple. Feeling exhausted, Faye takes out a potion and drinks it, but he fails to notice a pig catching up to him. As the pig swings its attack toward Faye, Lu leaps forward, slashing its head down but also taking the hit meant for Faye. Seizing the moment, Faye follows up with a fire blast, sending the pig flying. The group keeps running, but their concern for Lu's injury grows. However, Lu insists that stopping to recover would only get them surrounded. With no time to waste, they press forward and manage to gain some distance. As they approach the final 20 kilometers, they reach a towering wall with a narrow, eerie crack. Understanding that this is their only escape route, the group moves toward it. However, as Lu watches the approaching horde, he notices something strange. The number of pigs seems to have decreased. Entering the crack, Luna also realizes the same thing. Lu speculates that there might be an ambush ahead and urges them to move quickly. After running for a while, they finally spot the exit, but before they can reach it, the path suddenly darkens. Looking up, they see the terrifying beast pig blocking their way. Trapped from both sides, the trio immediately prepares their spells, shielding the little girl. As the pigs charge, they unleash relentless attacks. However, the girl, refusing to cower in fear this time, stands her ground, determined that the holy light will protect them. At the temple of the holy light, the knights gather before the bishop, insisting that they must quickly find the host of the holy light to subdue the darkness. One knight informs the bishop that the pigs have gathered near the eastern valley, which enrages him. Without hesitation, he orders his knights to follow him. As they step outside, the bishop notices a girl wearing a pig mask. Mistaking her for a creature of darkness, he immediately prepares an attack to eliminate the monster. However, to his shock, the girl removes her mask and pleads for help. She explains that she came from Cole Village, which was attacked by pigs that slaughtered everyone. She begs the bishop to save the 3 adventurers who risked their lives to rescue her, but are now in grave danger. The bishop's expression changes the moment he realizes that the girl is the host of the holy light. Overcome with excitement, he lifts her in joy, believing they have finally found the chosen one. With great enthusiasm, he asks if she is ready to become part of the holy light and aid them in eradicating the darkness. However, the girl is left confused by his words, unsure of what he truly means. Back in the crack, back in the mountain opening, the trio fights tirelessly, battling wave after wave of pigs. Exhausted but determined, they push forward until a sudden realization strikes them. The girl is missing. Calling out for her, they receive no response. Panic sets in as Luna speculates that she may have gone to the holy church on her own. Before they can react, the entire pig horde suddenly screeches in unison, shouting "Snacks!" and begins running in the opposite direction. The unexpected shift in behavior confuses Lu. Even the massive beast pig, their relentless pursuer, turns and flees. Sensing something is terribly wrong, the trio follows the horde, racing toward the temple of the holy light. But just as they reach its entrance, the ground trembles beneath their feet. Their eyes widen in horror as they take in the scene before them. The church bishop stands within the temple, clutching the half-eaten body of the little girl, blood dripping from his mouth. What the hell just happened? Just moments earlier, the bishop had questioned the little girl about joining the holy light. Confused by his words, she hesitated, but he insisted that the holy light needed her. Wanting to help others, she agreed. Without hesitation, the bishop opened his mouth and bit her in half, reveling in the divine radiance that engulfed him as he did. Before the shock can settle, the beast pig arrives, swinging with immense force. The impact sends the knights flying, but the bishop, now empowered by his newfound strength, stands firm. With precise counterattacks, he unleashes a barrage of holy light beams, piercing through the creature's flesh and riddling its massive body with holes. As the beast collapses, the bishop steps onto its fallen form, declaring that it is the light that has burned away its filthy existence. Lost in his sermon, he fails to notice the surge of power closing in from behind, until it is too late. He turns just in time to block the incoming strike, his eyes locking onto Lu. In a swift motion, Lu uses his momentum to slash the bishop's back. Staggering from the attack, the bishop quickly tries to reassure him, introducing himself as Hannibal, an ally to heroes like him. Hannibal wants Lu to join him in killing the pig together, as he has finally surpassed its recovery abilities. However, Lu ignores everything and demands answers. Just as Hannibal is about to respond, Lu suddenly charges at him with a burst slash, sending him flying. Lu has no interest in reasoning. His only goal is to see Hannibal dead. To Lu's shock, the system issues a warning, instructing him not to kill Bishop, as he is the only one capable of defeating the Pig King and completing the mission. Meanwhile, Bishop, now consumed by rage, retaliates by striking Lu with his holy light sword, sending him crashing into the distance. Before Bishop can press further, Faye intervenes, launching a fiery explosion that engulfs him. The attack inflicts severe damage, but Bishop, despite his injuries, refuses to falter. He charges toward them with unwavering determination. At that moment, Lu and Luna combine their power beams, striking Bishop with immense force and leaving him lifeless on the ground. As Bishop falls, Lu turns his attention to the beast pig and notices tears welling up in its eyes. The creature mumbles a single word, snack. The pig reveals a memory from its past. As a piglet, it had once been saved by that little girl who introduced herself as Snack. She had treated its wounds and expressed her hope that one day it could become like a human. Before leaving, she had bandaged it up and promised to return the next day. The pig develops a fondness for the girl, but she never returns. However, he remembers her words about becoming more like a human. Determined to fulfill her wish, he begins observing the people in the village, learning to mimic their behavior in the hopes of meeting her again. Upon hearing the story, Faye and Luna question the beast about why he attacked Snack's village. In response, the pig lets out a furious cry, declaring that he did it to protect her. He reveals that he overheard a conversation between the Holy Knight and his men, who spoke of consuming Snack because she was the host of light. Fearing for her safety, he took action. Lu then inquires about the zombie villagers, prompting the beast to explain that they had been making too much noise. To silence them, he locked them inside the pigsty and ordered his lesser pigs to treat them as they would normally treat pigs. Concerned, Lu asks if the pig beast can recover now, but the creature insists that his healing should begin once the bishop is dead. However, confusion sets in as the pig's body continues to burn. Suddenly, the source of the flames reveals itself. The bishop is still alive, standing behind them and channeling the domain of the holy light. A barrier begins forming around the bishop as he channels his domain. Seeing this, Lu immediately charges at him, but before his strike can land, the barrier completes itself, pulling him into the domain. The system quickly notifies that this is the domain of the holy light, a realm that grants immense advantages to its creator, bestowing special abilities and buffs. As Lu is drawn inside, he finds himself standing in an enormous throne room. At its center, Bishop sits upon a grand throne, welcoming him into his world. The sight infuriates Lu, and he immediately lunges forward. However, before he can get close, Bishop summons a light strike from countless floating orbs above them. Despite his agility, Lu quickly realizes that the orbs are under Bishop's control, meaning the entire domain, a galaxy, exists under his command. Bishop confirms this and, before finishing Lu, demands to know why he attacked him. Fueled by rage, Lu shouts that Snack had come to Bishop for help, yet he betrayed her trust. With that, he launches another attack, but Bishop effortlessly blocks it. However, hearing Lu's words, Bishop suddenly pauses, realizing that they have both misunderstood each other. He then claims to have discovered the limitations of their world. According to Bishop, their world operates on a system of levels. After becoming a bishop, his duty was to assign missions to heroes in exchange for protection and respect. Over time, he grows curious about the outside world, especially after seeing a hero return stronger and admired. Deciding to venture out himself, he discovers a vast, exciting world filled with dark monsters. Despite constant battles, he struggles to level up, until he witnesses weak rats surviving by devouring their own. Realizing that strength comes from consuming others, he embraces this brutal method to evolve and grow stronger. Lu quickly understands that Bishop has reached the conclusion that killing and consuming others is the key to gaining strength. As for the girl, Bishop reveals that she was chosen by the light, making her the ultimate sacrifice. Devouring her would have granted him an unparalleled surge in power. This revelation enrages Lu even further, but Bishop remains indifferent, justifying his actions by claiming that he has saved many lives through this method. Without hesitation, he unleashes the Holy Lightfall spell, aiming to end Lu once and for all. However, Lu counters with a powerful burst blade attack, slicing through the cascading starlight, shattering them mid-air. Growing frustrated, Bishop summons his Holy Light Spear and hurls it toward Lu, catching him off guard. The spear pierces through him, multiplying as it strikes, forcing Lu to his knees. As Lu kneels before him, Bishop continues to ramble about achieving greatness by using people like him as mere stepping stones. Coughing, Lu weakly calls him a mad pig, a remark that instantly enrages Bishop. In a fit of fury, Bishop opens his mouth wide and charges straight at him. However, instead of fear, a sly smile forms on Lu's face. In an instant, he transforms into his skeleton form, triggering a boss warning. Mid-charge, Lu seizes Bishop's holy light-infused hand and with a single devastating swing, rips it clean off. This action causes the random achievement manual to glitch, updating the mission objective to kill Bishop. Enraged, Bishop retaliates, but Lu swiftly dodges and rises into the air. Summoning his most powerful weapon, Lu forms the Hunting Death Blade, unleashing a relentless assault that strikes all 999 light orbs, amplifying his attack combo. Suddenly, the attack redirects itself toward Bishop, slashing through him with merciless precision. A deafening explosion of light erupts, illuminating the battlefield. Outside the barrier, Faye becomes excited upon seeing Lu emerge completely unharmed. Luna, however, is in shock that he single-handedly defeated a boss in its own domain. Meanwhile, the Pig King's body has fully recovered. He cradles Snack's lifeless body in his arms with tears streaming down his face. Without a word, he carries her back to the village. Watching them leave, Lu turns to Faye and asks if he has completed his mission, leaving Faye confused. Suddenly, the system notification appears. Mission failed X3. Before they can react, the system begins resetting the random missions and reloading the character data. As the reload completes, Snack awakens in her bed. Disoriented, she quickly realizes that she is unharmed and, overwhelmed with relief, thanks the holy light for reviving her. Determined, she jumps out of bed and storms out of her house as she needs to return to the piglets she left in the forest. As she walks through the town, the villagers greet her warmly, wishing her a good morning. Grandpa, however, stops her with a stern warning that there are human-eating monsters in the forest, so she needs to be careful. Hearing the warning, Snack becomes lost in thought and accidentally bumps into the village chief. Concerned, the chief asks if she is all right before introducing her to a holy knight, requesting that he take a look at her. As the holy knight extends his hand toward her, Snack's body tenses. Without hesitation, she suddenly turns and runs off, screaming that she doesn't want to be the host of the holy light. As she hurries away, she notices Lou walking past her. There's something strangely familiar about him. She swears he said something, but before she can figure it out, he disappears into the crowd. Back in the town, the village chief apologizes to the holy knight, who is lost in thought, realizing that the girl is pure and will make a great host for the bishop. The knight requests the chief to bring the girl to him later. Meanwhile, Lou, hooded and masked, walks beside the knight. In a swift, sneaky motion, Lou slashes the knight's throat so quietly that even the chief doesn't realize what happened. Later, in the forest, the piglet waits for Snack. This time she arrives, and just like that, they are together again. A short distance away, the trio sits on a cliff, watching the heartfelt scene. As they prepare to head off for the next task, Lou bids farewell to Luna, and they both walk away while Faye tries to convince Lou to take her into their team. As she watches them walk away, Luna reflects on how the missions have become increasingly strange and inconsistent. NPCs and monsters are deviating from the plot, and she suspects that it's all connected to Genesis. If they work together, she believes they can uncover the truth. Hearing this, Lou agrees, and the three of them formally introduce themselves once more, this time as a team. A sudden update notification appears, informing all players about the server maintenance. With a mix of farewells and lingering emotions, the group parts ways. As Luna logs out, the digital world fades, and she returns to reality, where her cat eagerly awaits her. She pats the cat gently, reminiscing about the friends she made in the game, but soon begins coughing due to her illness. The maid arrives, informing Luna that her father has called for her. Assisting her into the wheelchair, the maid guides her to his office before waiting outside. Luna hesitates before knocking on the door. As it swings open, she pushes her wheelchair forward into the vast office, where the walls are made of glass aquariums. The room is silent until her father acknowledges her presence. He inquires about her preliminary exam and warns her not to embarrass him in the final selection. After delivering his message, he dismisses her. Meanwhile, within the aquarium, a shark preys on a smaller fish, the silent hunting unfolding in the background. Elsewhere in the city, Lou and Faye head to a hot pot restaurant. Upon arrival, they are presented with a steaming, sizzling hot pot. Faye, overcome with excitement, dives headfirst into the meal, while Lou carefully follows every proper dining etiquette he knows. As they eat, Lou overhears the people at the table beside him discussing Moon Fantasy. They praise the game for its excessive levels, monsters, and complex mechanics. However, their curiosity grows as they debate whether the missions are entirely randomly generated or tailored to individual players. Hearing this, Lou begins to wonder about the nature of the game's missions. Initially, his task was to kill the Orc King, but the mission unexpectedly shifted when the Orc turned out to be a noble figure, while the Bishop was revealed as the true villain. Later, Lou himself was transformed into a boss. The inconsistency troubles him, especially as he notices that the cheat book he generated from a random mission has begun to deviate from its intended functions. He questions whether this anomaly is a result of his extensive rewriting of the source code, or if it is somehow connected to Genesis, the mysterious entity Luna had mentioned. Maybe it is all due to purgatory, the phenomenon Wu mentioned, dragging Lou back into endless whirlpools and reefs. He feels as though he has lost all control over his own game, drifting further away from his original goal. As he remains deep in thought, the server arrives with the 5 bowls of egg-fried rice that Faye ordered. When Faye offers some to him, Lou's mind drifts back to a winter from their childhood. He recalls Faye crying after someone overturned their beds and urinated on them. Their older brother had been there as well, furious, convinced that the bully from earlier was behind it. Han had intended to ask the director for more bedsheets, but Lou informed him that he had already asked and was told they could not receive more than one. That night, in temperatures dropping to 18 degrees, they all huddled together under a single bedsheet, trying to stay warm. As the youngest, Faye had grown weary of their harsh life and questioned whether it would always be this difficult. In response, Lou and Han had offered quiet reassurances, trying to keep his hope alive. However, Faye simply expressed that all he wanted was to eat 3 bowls of egg-fried rice. Back in the present, Faye is finally fulfilling that dream, happily munching on his meal while Lou sits across from him, happy for his little brother. A short while later, within the game, a notification emerges, announcing a large-scale event, Heart of Ironwall Kingdom Warriors, about to commence in Ironwall Kingdom. The registration window is rapidly closing, with only 1 minute remaining. However, a heavily armored guard stands at the entrance, blocking enraged players from entering, declaring that the registrations are full and demanding they leave. Despite the chaos, Lou discreetly slips a sack of gold into the guard's hand. Without hesitation, the guard makes an exception, allowing Lou and his group to pass, further fueling the frustration of the other players. With only 9 seconds left before registration closes, Lou and his group manage to enter the kingdom. However, they have only reached its outskirts. They must still make their way to the central castle. Just as the countdown reaches 0, an immense wall suddenly descends from the sky, encircling the castle completely. The unexpected barrier traps Lu and his team inside, leaving them unsettled and uncertain about what has just transpired. As they attempt to process the situation, a glitched digital screen flickers into existence. From it, Walter, the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ironwall Kingdom, addresses them, introducing himself as the host of the event. According to Walter, the event was initiated to honor the birth of the Ironwall Kingdom's princess. Over time, the princess became known for a beauty so radiant that it could melt snow and ice. However, she has since been captured by a powerful dragon, and the mission is to rescue her. A total of 10,000 players are participating in the event, each receiving a single adventurer's badge. As Luna suspects, this is not just a simple quest, it is a competition. Over the course of 7 days, players must collect as many badges as possible, and only the top 100 will advance to the next stage. There are 3 ways to obtain additional badges. The first and simplest method is to search for them scattered throughout the area. The second is to defeat monsters, which may drop them upon being slain. The third and most ruthless method is to plunder badges from other players. Each player's badge count is visible above their head, making every encounter high stakes and intense. With the rules established, Walter officially announces the beginning of the event, launching the 7-day countdown. Lu's group, with only a single badge each, wastes no time and moves forward. However, they are quickly approached by another team proposing an alliance. The group's leader reveals his strategy, to gather 100 players into a single force, ensuring their dominance and securing a spot in the next phase of the competition. However, Lu immediately rejects the offer and continues walking, unfazed by the proposal. This blatant dismissal enrages the opposing leader, who silently vows to eliminate Lu's group should they cross paths again. As they press forward, Faye questions Lu about his decision to turn down the alliance. Lu explains that gathering a group of inexperienced players would be meaningless. He has a strategic reason for his choice. After defeating the bishop, he obtained a rare item, the Godslayer's Guild badge. This badge grants a special effect. Anyone who teams up with Lu will be recognized as part of the Godslayer's Guild, and as the guild's size increases, all members receive attribute bonuses. Because of this, Lu intends to choose his allies carefully, ensuring they are worthy of the power the badge provides. Upon navigating the forest, Lu's group immediately begins hunting monsters, swiftly collecting badges scattered throughout the area. As their badge count grows, they remain on the lookout for more monsters. Soon, Faye spots one lurking ahead and with growing confidence steps forward, insisting that he handle the fight alone. As Faye prepares to unleash his fiery explosion, another player attacks at the same moment. Their combined strikes overwhelm the monster, causing it to fall and drop badges for both of them. Frustrated, Faye accuses the girl of stealing his kill. Equally enraged, the girl refuses to back down and immediately lunges at Faye, aiming to take his badges by force. Faye, reluctant to fight a girl, retreats while calling out to his brother for help. In an instant, Lu appears, pressing a knife to the girl's neck. However, she quickly calls for reinforcements. Her sister arrives in a flash and she grabs both Faye and Luna mid-charge, effortlessly restraining them. Now they stand face to face, Lu holding the girl at knife point, while her sister holds Faye and Luna in a firm grip. The woman, let's call her Mommy, holds 50 badges, and Luna can clearly sense her strength as she tightens her grip. However, Luna is more concerned about Faye, who is struggling as Mommy chokes him. It should have been me. Determined to free him, Luna activates her Shining Star ability, momentarily disorienting Mommy. The tactic works, causing her to loosen her grip. Seizing the opportunity, Luna launches an attack, but Mommy reacts just in time, blocking it. Despite the clash, she is impressed by Luna's skills, while Luna, in turn, acknowledges her opponent's strength. Realizing she needs to force Mommy into a mistake, Luna casts Crescent Moon, sending a low slashing wave toward her. Mommy swiftly avoids it by jumping, but this creates the opening Luna was waiting for. She charges forward, aiming for a decisive strike. However, Mommy reacts just as quickly, blocking Luna's attack with ease, making it clear that a direct confrontation won't be enough to save Faye. Meanwhile, the girl Lu is holding starts taunting them, claiming that even with all 3 of them together, they still stand no chance against her sister. As Luna prepares to attack again, Mommy suddenly halts her, shifting her attention to Lu. She points at him, declaring that she wants to fight him instead. Without saying a word, Lu accepts the challenge. In response, Mommy secures Faye to the side, ensuring he cannot interfere, and readies herself for battle. As they step toward each other, they suddenly collide, exchanging powerful blows. Their attacks clash with precision, blocking and countering each strike, generating a tremendous surge of energy. Everyone watching quickly realizes that both Lu and Mommy are exceptionally skilled fighters, standing at the level of top-tier experts. Lu's movements remain calm and composed, each step calculated and efficient. In contrast, Mommy relies on raw power, delivering clean, sharp punches with expert precision. The entire forest lights up from the shockwaves of their battle, each impact shaking the surroundings. As the fight intensifies, Mommy grows increasingly impressed by Lu's strength. Amidst the battle, she unexpectedly offers to be his girlfriend, leaving Lu momentarily confused. Her sister, equally baffled, questions her reasoning. Mommy then reveals that her intuition has never failed her, and in her assessment, Lu is worth at least 80 points, someone she absolutely cannot afford to let go. Mommy dove into esports for 10 years, and although she smoked everyone in sight, nobody dared to frag her in the back room, and alas, her love life stayed as dry as a desert server. With her extensive experience in dating sims, Mommy is certain that Lu is the perfect match for her. Declaring this, she slams the ground, unleashing a seismic wave attack while playfully asking if Lu would prefer to start with a romance straight out of a dating sim. Lu, however, declines without hesitation, swiftly stopping her attack. To her shock, before she can react, he has already reached the cage where Faye is trapped and effortlessly cuts it open. As Faye steps out, he teasingly suggests that Lu should consider Mommy's offer, pointing out that he has never had a girlfriend before. Hearing this, Mommy falls even deeper in love with him, her admiration growing by the second. However, her romantic thoughts are abruptly interrupted as an arrow pierces her arm. She barely has time to register the pain before realizing they are now completely surrounded. Hundreds of players, each adorned with a high number of badges, close in on them. The group leader orders his members to handle the others while claiming Mommy for himself, as she holds the highest number of badges. Lu's group and the Mommy duo feel a bit nervous but quickly become alert, preparing to fight. Just as the group leader commands his team to attack, an unexpected event shocks everyone. A powerful red beam strikes the ground, forming a barrier around them. Once again, the screen appears, and Walter's assistant briefs all participants about an important rule update. The Ironwall Kingdom will now randomly feature a Grab Blue, Avoid Red event. Areas marked in blue will contain blessings, items, and buffs, while areas marked in red will be filled with traps, punishments, and chaotic space-time distortions. After delivering this announcement, the assistant bids farewell and disappears. Panic spreads among the adventurer group as they realize they are currently standing in a red zone. Suddenly, a notification screen appears, confirming their worst fears. It is a chaotic space-time zone. According to the update, any adventurer who enters the area will be randomly teleported to a different location within the kingdom. As everyone begins teleporting, Lu instructs his group to continue gathering badges and head toward the central area to regroup if they find themselves nearby. Now, only 8,000 players remain, but the truly terrifying part is that the group leader isn't teleported away. Instead, he is left alone with Mommy, forced to face her wrath. As she mercilessly takes down other players, the group leader pleads for mercy, even offering to pay her off. However, Mommy remains unfazed, channeling all her energy into her iron fists before slamming him into a tree and claiming his badges as well. Just then, she suddenly remembers that she never exchanged names with Lu, and her mind drifts off into a daydream, even imagining the names of their future children. Meanwhile, at another location, Faye and Mommy's younger sister Chili introduce themselves on seemingly friendly terms. However, without warning, Chili launches a blast at Faye, forcing him to dodge at the last second. Still holding a grudge over the badge's theft, Chili insists on fighting him. Faye, realizing the misunderstanding, tries to reason with her, but she remains unfazed. As she charges at him, channeling her fireballs, Faye quickly offers her a deal, an exchange of information about their siblings, considering that both Lu and Mommy seem to like each other. Stopping her mid-charge, Faye's words catch Chili off guard. This marks the beginning of their bonding as they sit by their own fire, laughing about various things and agreeing to help each other find their siblings. Meanwhile, at another location, Luna finds herself alone, growing increasingly worried. With both communication and the map disabled, she has no way of locating her group. She recalls her father's warnings about advancing to the final stage of the event. Though he has always been cold to her, Luna chooses to see the positive side of it, believing that, in his own way, he cares for her and hopes for her success. Despite having endured painful experiments in the past, she remains determined to do her best and take care of herself. As she reflects on her past, a massive monster with a badge number of 9999 silently emerges from the shadows, preparing to strike. Elsewhere, Lu is engaged in an intense battle against another player, one who appears to be on par with him, matching his strength. 2 hours earlier, when Lu was teleported to a random location, he quickly analyzed his surroundings, studying the position of the beam and the nearby sounds. Realizing that he was alone, he concluded that his group would be safe and decided to focus on collecting badges. Using his stealth skill, enhanced by his white stealth cap, he began his hunt. Not far from his location, a group of players was busy taking down monsters. Like a flash, Lu eliminated both the monsters and the players with a swift, silent slash, collecting their badges in an instant. My guy just mega KS. He knew that while these initial targets wouldn't make a significant difference in his overall badge count, the more badges he gathered, the stronger the monsters would become. For now, his strategy was clear: hunt players in the weaker areas. Elsewhere, Xiao, the wealthy brat, was effortlessly taking down monsters with his legendary gear, while his devoted admirer watched him in awe, completely mesmerized by his every move. As they are busy talking, suddenly Lu sneaks up from behind, and just as he is about to attack Xiao pushes his shield, his girlfriend, in front of him, resulting in Lu killing her. Xiao is enraged that someone has attacked him and prepares to fight. As Lu charges, Xiao swings his legendary sword, unleashing a powerful wave, but in the blink of an eye, Lu vanishes from sight. Looking around, Xiao realizes that Lu is above him, but it is too late. Lu slashes across his body in a swift motion, killing him instantly. Nearby, another adventurer witnesses Lu's movement and is deeply impressed. However, Lu does not even notice him at first. When he finally glances at the adventurer's badges, he is shocked to see that the man still has a ranking of 0. The player, believing that Lu has stolen his prey, challenges him instead, vowing to hunt him down. Without hesitation, they clash, generating massive shockwaves throughout the area. The player relentlessly attacks, unleashing blow after blow, yet Lu effortlessly blocks each one. The sheer skill and precision of Lu's defense leave the player in awe. Suddenly, Lu counters with lacerating burst, sending the player flying. The opponent lands back on the ground and immediately retaliates with Wolf Mist, unleashing a massive beam straight toward Lu. However, as the dust settles, Lu emerges unscathed. Both can feel each other's power, but Lu is particularly confused. Despite the player's immense strength, he still lacks a badge, meaning even defeating him would yield nothing. The player, grinning maniacally, introduces himself as Feng, and Lu responds in turn. Without hesitation, they charge at each other once more, fully prepared to bring the other down. They continue their relentless assaults on each other, but Lu blocks every strike. Seizing an opportunity, he suddenly dashes away, realizing that facing Feng is like confronting a wild wolf, unpredictable and relentless. He needs a moment to catch his breath. As Lu maneuvers his snake spirit beast behind Feng, his opponent successfully positions his wolf for an ambush as well. The two summoned beasts collide, triggering a massive blast wave that ripples through the forest. In the distance, a group of players notices the explosion. Their leader immediately signals for them to halt, before ordering his fourth brother to check on a missing teammate who has taken too long to return. Following the command, the fourth brother vanishes digitally. Back in the fight, Lu begins to detect weaknesses in Feng's approach, realizing that he struggles with prolonged battles. Meanwhile, Feng grows more exhilarated, thrilled to be fighting an opponent of such strength. Once again, they charge at each other and their weapons clashing with force. However, as their blades meet, Lu suddenly senses that something about Feng is not right at all. Suddenly, a surge of power erupts from within Feng as he charges forward with overwhelming force, ramming Lu through a cluster of trees and crashing him into one. What baffles Lu is that, despite repeatedly striking Feng down, his opponent only grows stronger. The reason soon becomes clear. Feng's passive skill, Bloodbath Serenade, grants him a 1% increase in attack power for every 1% of health he loses. With his strength steadily rising, Feng lunges at Lu once again. This time, Lu swiftly dodges, recognizing that Feng still has openings in his attacks. He realizes that Feng is deliberately triggering his own passive ability to grow stronger. Lu continues to evade, leading toward a group of monkey monsters blocking his path. Without hesitation, he unleashes his haunting death blade, slashing through them all and rapidly building up his combo. Watching this, Feng hesitates for the first time, growing wary of the deadly power behind Lu's attack. As Lu's combo builds up, Feng abruptly interrupts it, triggering a massive explosion that engulfs the area. Shocked, Lu realizes that Feng possesses the same ability as a limited-time boss he once encountered. Feng recalls his leader's warning about haunting Deathblade and the importance of disrupting its combo. Following that advice, he remains relentless, countering Lu's every move. Despite Lu attempting to unleash his trump card, Feng's passive skill continues amplifying his attack power with each passing moment. Determined, Lu begins channeling an immense surge of energy around him, the sheer force pushing Feng back. Rather than retreating, Feng only grows more exhilarated, claiming that Lu has reignited his thrill for battle. However, high up in a nearby tree, the archer sent by the group leader silently prepares his arrow, aiming to assist Feng in the fight. As Lu charges at Feng, an invisible arrow strikes him mid-motion, sent by the archer. The impact takes him down instantly. Despite receiving assistance, Feng is still shocked by the outcome. Seizing the opportunity, he unleashes Wolf Mist Basket, sending it hurtling toward the airborne Lu before striking him directly. The force of the attack sends Lu crashing into the water below. Both Feng and the archer stand in confusion, realizing that despite seemingly defeating Lu, their badges remain unchanged. The archer, narrowing his eyes, accuses Feng of deliberately letting Lu escape, claiming that he failed to use Wolf Exhaust to finish him off. With an irritating smirk, the archer remarks that if Feng didn't want the kill, he should have left it for their leader instead. Feng's expression darkens with rage, but before the situation escalates, the archer dismisses the tension and walks away, informing Feng that their leader is waiting. As Feng watches the water's surface ripple, he quietly hopes to encounter Lu again someday, for a proper fight. Somewhere else, Fei and Chili are getting along well, chatting about how perfect Fei's brother Lu is. As they walk, a troll monster suddenly ambushes them. Fei instinctively steps forward, telling Chili to hide behind him, but she shoves him aside instead. Without hesitation, she unleashes Fire Dragon Tornado, engulfing the troll in flames and reducing it to nothing. After dealing with the monster, they continue their conversation about their siblings while casually encountering and defeating more trolls along the way. As they chat about Chili's career as an animator, they effortlessly obliterate the creatures without breaking a sweat. However, Faye unknowingly presses a nerve when he comments on how poorly animators are paid. At that moment, Chili's expression darkens. Without a word, she channels all her frustration into the unfortunate troll in her grasp, incinerating it into ashes in an instant. As they continue forward, an awkward silence settles between them. Faye realizes he made a mistake by bringing up the issue of low pay, making the atmosphere tense. As they press on, they come across a mermaid monster emerging from the water, boasting 300 adventurer badges. The moment the creature spots them, she lets out a deafening siren scream, sending waves of agony through their bodies. Paralyzed by the sound, Chili collapses to the ground, unable to withstand the pain, followed closely by Faye. Seizing the opportunity, the mermaid monster casts Stitch, binding the two together, half and half. The two, now stitched together in a grotesque abomination of one body, regain consciousness, utterly confused by what just happened. The mermaid watches in amusement, mocking them by claiming she has given them beautiful new clothes. However, their horror escalates when they notice her channeling something behind her. As the water settles, a monstrous tentacle creature emerges, ready to devour them. They attempt to keep their distance, but the moment they try to move, they stumble and fall. It's then that the terrifying realization hits them. They are sharing a single body. Instead of focusing on survival, the two immediately begin arguing over where to move and, more awkwardly, where not to touch. Even the mermaid rolls her eyes at their bickering before using her magic to pull them closer. As they are dragged toward the monstrous creature, they have no choice but to set aside their differences. With no other option, they agree to split control, each taking command of half their shared body. Working together, they propel themselves into the air using fire magic. However, this only enrages the mermaid, who despises fire. In retaliation, she unleashes Cannon Splash, sending a powerful torrent of water hurtling toward them. They fumble their movements and take a direct hit. Struggling to maintain balance while controlling only half of their shared body, they stagger clumsily. Despite their lack of coordination, they manage to propel themselves off the ground, launching a barrage of fireballs from the air. The flames scorch both the mermaid and the monstrous creature, but the beast quickly extinguishes the fire using a surge of water. In retaliation, it unleashes a rotating water attack, trapping them inside a swirling aquatic prison. Even in their dire situation, they remain frustrated with each other, their lack of synchronization making escape nearly impossible. However, in the midst of their bickering, they suddenly realize something. Without hesitation, they clasp their hands together, channeling their magic into a single unified force. A massive fiery blast erupts in the air, igniting the surrounding water in an explosion of steam and heat. Breaking free from the watery trap, they finally decide to cooperate. As the mermaid, enraged by the flames, prepares to unleash her stitching spell once more, they move in perfect sync. This time, they effortlessly evade her attacks, weaving and dancing around her strikes with newfound agility. Embracing the moment, they call out to Sea to play music for them. Moving in harmony with the rhythm, they channel their combined power into a massive, devastating torrent of fire. With a final synchronized strike, they unleash the blazing attack toward the mermaid, engulfing her in flames and instantly reducing her to ashes. Meanwhile, elsewhere, the powerful 999 badge monster holds Luna in its grip, furious that she has killed its children. Back in the water, the mermaid monster drops a wealth of experience and equipment, leveling up Chili in the process. Though now separated, Chili and Faye are still holding hands as they sift through the loot, deciding what to pick up. Suddenly, Chili realizes their hands are still clasped. Embarrassed, she quickly pulls away, shifting her attention elsewhere. Flustered, she redirects the conversation, wondering aloud what their siblings might be doing at this moment. Meanwhile, deep in the forest, Mommy stands at the edge of the cliff, the very place where Lou fell into the waters moments ago. The faint scent of Lou's presence still lingers in the air, triggering a sudden wave of fury within her. In a fit of rage, she strikes the entire cliff down, realizing that someone may have caused Lou's fall. A short distance away, Feng sits atop the defeated monster, but a deep sense of unease washes over him as he feels a chilling sensation creeping up his back. However, he is suddenly shocked upon hearing his leader claim that a 500 badge monster is nearby. This only excites Feng further, as his burning fighting spirit from battling Lou has yet to cool down. In the water, Lou floats in his skeleton form, completely unable to move. After being pushed off the cliff, his vigilance remained fixed on the water's surface, preparing to counter from below. However, out of nowhere, he was bitten by a venomous fish. The venom began to make him lose consciousness, prompting him to shift into his skeleton form to avoid being eaten by predatory fish. As he drifts, a whirlpool begins to form, pulling him in. Regaining his senses, he suddenly realizes he is now inside a cave. Regaining his footing, Lou analyzes the holes in the cave walls, realizing they are unnatural and likely the work of a massive monster. With no one else around, he decides to recover. taking a recovery potion before pushing forward. As he ventures deeper into the cave, he discovers an area filled with monstrous green eggs. Shock washes over him when he spots Luna's sword lying near one of them. Without hesitation, he slices the egg open, revealing Luna inside, and quickly pulls her out. However, just as he tries to wake her, the 999 badge monster lurking above suddenly charges at them, radiating a powerful killing intent. As the monster leaps at them, Lu quickly blocks the attack, but despite bracing himself, he can feel the sheer force behind the strike. The monster momentarily backs off before launching a relentless barrage of blows with its multiple hands. Dodging the attacks, Lu calls out to Luna for her spell, and questions how she even discovered such a powerful creature. Enraged, the monster blames them for killing its children. Recognizing the immense threat before them, Lu decides they should fight together, and Luna agrees. With that, they both flash forward, attacking the monster head-on. Luna targets its arm while Lu swiftly dodges to the side, striking from a different angle. Seizing an opening, Luna unleashes her Starlight Slash, forcing the monster to retreat into its hole. Watching this, Lu realizes that the holes he noticed earlier are actually tunnels dug by the creature, an escape route it had prepared in advance. As the monster retreats, the ground suddenly begins to tremble. Sensing the danger, they leap away just in time as the creature's tail erupts from below, narrowly missing them. There is no clear opening in the monster's relentless attacks, prompting Luna to suggest splitting up, hoping that multiple targets will create an opening. As they separate, the monster focuses on Luna, giving Lu a chance to counter. Analyzing the speed and timing of its strikes, he swiftly slashes off its tail, causing the creature to stagger in agony and let out a piercing scream. Writhing in pain, the monster furiously strikes the ground, generating a massive shockwave. Despite blocking the incoming debris, the duo quickly realizes they are no match for this beast. So, Lu suggests that Luna recover while he pushes forward to keep the monster occupied. However, even after attacking and blocking for 2 hours, the creature, though battered, still stands with its health intact. Lu reassures Luna that the monster must be on the verge of collapse. However, to their shock, the beast suddenly devours one of its own eggs, instantly restoring itself to full strength. With that, it unleashes a terrifying nightmare cage screech, freezing them both in place. This moment pulls Lu deep into his thoughts, transporting him to a conversation with himself in a coffee shop. He reminds his character that the answers lie within his heart, to which his character insists that he does not want to give up. The character argues that they have a lead on infernal purgatory from Wu, which might help them find their brother. However, this only angers Lu, who believes he is deceiving himself and losing sight of reality because of the game. Mocking his character, he argues that instead of wasting time searching for his brother, he should honor his brother's will by doing something more meaningful. This leaves his character deep in thought. Lu then stands up, reassuring him that everything will be alright. Instead of aimlessly chasing a lost cause, he suggests opening an orphanage, a place where children without families can find a home. That, he insists, is what he should be doing instead of gallivanting through some game. As he speaks, his character, consumed by rage, grabs Lu by the throat, accusing him of being a heart demon within a nightmare conjured by the monster. Realizing the illusion, Lu shatters it and returns to the present, where the monster is holding both him and Luna, preparing to crush them with its massive fist. In a blink, Lu regains consciousness and swiftly slashes through both of the monster's hands, breaking free. Without hesitation, he gives Luna an illusion-breaking potion, instantly waking her up as well. The monster, unfazed, questions whether it would have been better for them to perish within its illusion. However, instead of fear, this only fuels their rage. Both Lu and Luna charge at the creature, attacking from opposite sides. Despite its attempts to block, the monster is confused. Its nightmare screech should have weakened them, yet they are fighting even more fiercely than before. Sensing danger, the monster attempts to consume another egg to recover, but Luna intercepts it in an instant, severing its hand with her moon slashes. The monster panics and attempts to retreat into its tunnels, but Lu is already behind it, delivering a decisive strike that completely severs its head. The massive creature collapses, and Lu's badge count increases by 999. High-fiving Luna, he apologizes for stealing the points, but she doesn't mind. There are still 2 days left, giving them plenty of time to accumulate more points for her. As they prepare to leave, a monstrous voice suddenly echoes through the cavern, stopping them in their tracks. Both of them freeze in shock, realizing that the voice is coming from inside the monster's stomach. Suddenly, a smaller but similar-looking monster bursts out of the dead creature's stomach, demanding to know who killed it. The moment it spots Lu and Luna, it lunges at them without hesitation, kicking Luna away before unleashing a powerful green laser beam directly at Lu, striking him head-on. Believing both of them to be defeated, the monster smirks, mocking them for being weak. As silence falls, the monster mocks them for playing dead, but before it can react further, a barrage of rocks suddenly hurtles toward it. With ease, the monster destroys the incoming debris, but the attack was merely a distraction. Lu and Luna strike from both sides, aiming to catch it off guard. However, despite their coordination, the monster effortlessly blocks their attacks with his hands, calling their efforts boring before sending them flying. Growing overconfident, the monster gives them one last chance, claiming their attacks are hardly entertaining. Seizing the opportunity, Luna gathers all of her remaining strength and charges forward, with Lu flanking from the opposite side. As she swings at the monster, it easily bends away from her attacks, ridiculing their weak efforts. However, just as it smirks in amusement, it catches sight of Lu from the other side, realizing too late that Luna's attack was just a distraction. The moment the monster tries to counter with its beam, Lu is already prepared, activating his backstab skill and slashing the monster from behind. Wounded, the monster snaps in rage and absorbs the life force of a nearby egg, fully recovering in an instant, shocking the duo. They quickly realize that as long as those eggs remain, killing the monster is impossible. Pointing at them, the monster acknowledges their teamwork but sneers that, individually, they are too weak. To prove his point, he casts a duplication spell, creating 2 identical copies of himself before relentlessly attacking both Lu and Luna at the same time. Despite now being split into 2, the monster's overall strength has diminished, but its resistance remains overwhelming. As the battle intensifies, the duplicate fighting Luna suddenly drags her into a hole, while the other continues unleashing a relentless flurry of slashes toward Lu. However, the monster pauses for a brief moment, confused as despite being struck repeatedly, Lu is still laughing. Suddenly, Lu unleashes his burst sword, and the slash begins chaining into a relentless combo, cutting down all the eggs one by one. At first, the monster scoffs, mocking Lu for using such a spell. But as the power of the slash intensifies with every destroyed egg, a wave of terror washes over him. Realizing too late that something is terribly wrong, he desperately attempts to intercept, triggering a massive explosion between them. As the dust settles, the monster is taken aback. Lu actually had such a powerful technique hidden up his sleeve. But at the same time, our boy is just as shocked. The monster is still alive. Without hesitation, Lu charges forward, drinking a recovery potion mid-motion, while the monster begins channeling his green orbs, preparing to counter. However, to Lu's horror, a hand suddenly emerges from a slashed egg, gripping his sword. Before he can react, more creatures burst forth from the destroyed eggs, surrounding him. Watching the reinforcements arrive, the monster yaps in amusement. Lu quickly engages the emerging minions, cutting them down one after another, but their overwhelming numbers make it nearly impossible to keep up. The monster, fully aware of the weakness in Lu's skill, merely observes from a distance, seated atop his minions as they swarm the battlefield. Meanwhile, Luna remains locked in combat with one of the duplicates. The clone lands a devastating punch to her gut, sending her crashing into a nearby wall. Struggling to regain her footing, she weakly apologizes for having killed the monster before it had even been born. The duplicate, momentarily stunned by her words, bursts into laughter, interpreting it as a desperate attempt at humor. However, after composing himself, he reveals a fundamental law of survival within their species. According to him, from the moment they are born, they instinctively turn against their maternal being, a process that strengthens them. Without hesitation, the duplicate lunges at Luna, while simultaneously unleashing his nightmare cage spell. A paralyzing fear takes hold of her, forcing a blood-curdling scream. Lu continues fighting the minions, unable to help as he hears Luna scream. The relentless swarm keeps coming at him, forcing him to cut them down in overwhelming numbers. The sheer volume of defeated minions forms a massive pile of bodies, and amid the chaos, Lu suddenly vanishes. The system announces that he has reached level 30 and has obtained the random ability Shadow Clone, allowing him to create a duplicate that will assist him in battle. As the monster, growing impatient, climbs atop the mound of corpses, it is shocked to find Lu gone. Frustration turns to unease as it notices one of its own minions behaving strangely, slashing wildly at its allies. A creeping sense of dread sets in as the monster realizes Lu might still be alive. Before it can react, Lu strikes with the combined power of Shadow Clone, unleashing his haunting blade. The deadly technique tears through the remaining minions in a relentless assault, its force so immense that it pierces the ground and emerges from below. Channeling the attack further, Lu directs it toward the monster, shattering its form with thousands of devastating slashes. Meanwhile, in front of Luna, the duplicate enemy, now significantly weakened, begins pleading for mercy, promising to follow her commands. However, without hesitation, she casts Crescent Spell, unleashing a powerful blast that annihilates him instantly. With that, the event comes to an end, and all players are summoned to the central gate. As they gather, uncertainty fills the air, with many wondering whether they will be advancing to the next stage. Mommy, along with Chili and Faye, sits in silence, their concern growing as Lu has yet to arrive. Growing impatient, Mommy orders both of them to gather information about Lu's attacker. Faye, upon hearing of the attack, becomes visibly anxious, prompting Mommy to reveal her suspicion that Lu may have been ambushed and killed while searching for her. However, Faye refuses to believe it, confident in his brother's strength. His certainty brings some relief to Mommy, but before they can continue their discussion, Lu's voice suddenly calls out from behind them. He appears carrying Luna on his back, and upon seeing him, the group finally relaxes. While most feel relieved, Mommy is visibly irritated. Stepping forward, she confronts Lu and introduces herself as Hua Jiao. Without hesitation, she boldly declares herself as Lu's future wife, shocking everyone around her. As the crowd buzzes with speculation over badge numbers, the screen above them lights up once more, displaying Walter's announcement of the top 100 players. Lu is in third place, with 2 players above him and 3 below him from the Daybreak clan, while Hua, Luna, and the rest follow behind. Players are shocked to see the first place holder earning 5,000 points, wondering who it could be. Their attention soon shifts to the Daybreak Guild leader, realizing he is the one. The Daybreak Guild is currently the 3rd-ranked union guild in the entire server, known for securing multiple victories in other games before this one. However, their focus quickly turns to Lu's name, questioning how he managed to rank above the Daybreak clan members. Meanwhile, Hua remains preoccupied with trying to make Lu marry her, but he, uninterested, brushes her off while noticing Feng sitting among the Daybreak clan members. Walter then showers the top 100 players with experience points, causing most of them to level up. Lu and his group also rise above level 30. After that, Walter announces for everyone to proceed through the portal to the second selection location. The players begin moving toward the portal, speculating about what the second stage will entail. Is that Goku and Toriyama in front? What the hell? As everyone steps in, they are teleported onto pillars, each grouped with 4 other random players. As they process the situation, the host for the stage appears, revealing the details of the challenge. In this stage, players must participate in a crime-solving deduction game, where a hidden murderer is among the 5 players, and they must work together to identify them, literally Among Us. After each round, players will discuss the clues and their suspicions. Successfully voting out the murderer will allow the remaining players to advance to the next stage. The host distributes story cards to each player, detailing their assigned roles. Lu quickly realizes that the game revolves around conversation and reasoning. The host then reveals the background story for Lu and the other 4 players. According to the scenario, a warrior X chosen to rescue the king's daughter has been murdered, and everyone is a suspect. Lu is assigned the role of the guard captain, while the others receive different identities. With that, the game begins. The game begins with Suspect A, proceeding in a clockwise direction, while the host remains present to guide them through the process. The first task is for each player to introduce themselves and explain their relationship with Warrior X. Player A introduces himself as a close friend of Warrior X, assuring the group that a handsome man like him would never lie. When the host asks for his suspicions, he states that for now, he does not suspect anyone, but, based on appearances, he is wary of the mage, Player E. It is now Player B's turn, the daughter of a minister. She claims that Warrior X once saved her life and, as proof, explains that she was bedridden for years, making her too powerless to kill anyone. As for her suspicion, she points toward Lu, arguing that people have seen him with Warrior X. Now it is Lu's turn to speak. He claims that he has no relationship with Warrior X. As proof that he is not the murderer, he explains that he had a quarrel with X after discovering that he was a womanizer chasing fame. As a guard, he cannot go against the king's will, making him unlikely to be the murderer. For his suspicion, Lu points out that based on the gathered information, Player B's relationship with X seems unusual. Next, it is Player D's turn to speak. She introduces herself as a scholar who interviewed X and wrote his biography. As proof of her innocence, she argues that she is the simplest person present, and as a scholar, she has no time for murder. Additionally, she points out that her height is quite low, while the dagger that killed X was found at a higher position, making it unlikely that she could have committed the crime. When asked who she suspects, she admits she is unsure but suggests eliminating weaker players, as they might become dead weights and drag everyone down. Now it is the mage's turn. He introduces himself as a high priest who conducted rituals for the kingdom. As proof of his innocence, he claims that he was the one who discovered Warrior X's body while attempting to call him back from a deviation spell. He adds that he also performed a prayer for Warrior X. Regarding his suspicions, he states that the least suspicious person might actually be the one behind it all. With that, the first round of speeches comes to an end. 3 players vote to eliminate Player A. Despite A's protests, the host eliminates him and reveals his identity as a team member. However, the game continues. The host updates their backstory cards with new clues, and the remaining players must now share their personal opinions on the new information. Player B speaks first, revealing that her clue states the guard always follows the king's commands. However, she suggests that this might be false, as the guard could have been betraying the king from the shadows. Next, it is Lu's turn. He reveals that his clue states the mage never left the altar that night. However, he once again shifts suspicion onto Player B, pointing out that she has still failed to address his earlier concerns about her concealed relationship with Warrior X. Now it is Player D's turn to share her opinion. Her clue reveals that Player B, the minister's daughter, had a perverse obsession with Warrior X and even threatened him, claiming that if she could not have him, she would destroy him. Next, it is the mage's turn. His clue states that, according to divination, Player D is a capable and trustworthy helper. As the round ends, Player B receives 2 votes and is eliminated. However, to everyone's dismay, she is not the killer either, and the game continues. In the third round, the discussion becomes a free-for-all. allowing players to communicate freely before deciding when to end the discussion and vote. Lu suggests analyzing the clues carefully, but before he can continue, Player D interrupts, declaring that the killer is now obvious. According to Player D, she knew that Player B was not the murderer, but voted her out to lure out the true culprit. She accuses Lu of being the killer, claiming that he agreed with her false testimony instead of challenging it. She further explains that Lu's eye movement seemed more focused on finding a way to hide and eliminate the others, rather than searching for the real murderer. Lu, unfazed, calmly sits down and tells her to vote if she is so certain instead of wasting time. With nothing more to say, Mage remains silent as the voting begins. When the votes are cast, Lu and the Mage vote against D, while D votes against Lu. With 2 votes against her, Player D is eliminated, and Lu, as the murderer, wins the game. Seeing this, the Mage falls to his knees in disappointment, while Player D is left in shock, wondering why the Mage turned against her. Lu explains that from the very first round, he knew D would eventually uncover his identity through the process of elimination. However, the Mage had been following a different logic, suspecting the least obvious person from the start, as he had stated in the first round. Player D realizes that Lu deliberately lost the argument against her to make it seem as though he was incorrect, leading the Mage to vote her out. As they are eliminated, they fall from the pillar, and Walter appears, congratulating everyone before announcing a break before the final stage. Lu's entire group survives, and as they reassemble, they are transported to an arena for the next round. A massive crowd has gathered, and Walter is now present in person as the host. He then welcomes the king of the Tapini Kingdom, Jin, who is watching the competition. King Jin expresses his excitement and gratitude to all participants, before announcing the rewards for the top 3 contestants. 3 legendary gemstones that can be inlaid into weapons. These gems are extremely rare, capable of granting unique abilities when embedded in a weapon, and are worth hundreds of millions due to their high demand and non-existent supply. Upon hearing this, the leader of the Daybreaker Guild orders his men to do whatever it takes to secure all 3 gemstones for their group. The crowd erupts with excitement as the king officially announces the start of the next round. With that, Walter steps forward and introduces the rules of the competition. The competition is a one-on-one battle where the objective is to knock the opponent off the platform. The final champion will receive a massive amount of experience and prestige, along with the legendary gemstones. Additionally, they will have the privilege of choosing their companions for the mission to rescue the king's daughter. The matchmaking, however, is random, and Lu's number is drawn first for a fight against another player. As his group cheers him on, Lu recalls having participated in similar arena matches before. However, as he steps onto the battlefield, he is caught off guard by the sight of his opponent. Lu's opponent is the warrior he once defeated during his first ever boss event, the same man who sought the treasure but was slain in the process. Since then, the warrior has grown stronger, having learned from his previous defeat at the hands of Lu's skeletal form. However, he remains unaware that he is now facing the very same boss, only in human form. A lone wolf by nature, the warrior is determined to grow stronger with each battle, overcoming even the most impossible odds. With unwavering resolve, he challenges Lu to strike first. Yet before his words can fully leave his mouth, Lu has already slashed his throat, eliminating him in an instant with effortless precision. As the warrior's body begins to dissipate, disappointment washes over him as he had hoped to showcase his true power, but was defeated before he even had the chance. The host promptly announces Lu's victory, while members of the Daybreaker Guild recognize him from the stage where they had once attempted to kill him. Next is Luna's turn, and she swiftly defeats her opponent with her refined and precise swordsmanship, securing her own victory with ease. Faye too fries his opponent's balls and makes it to the top 16 with the others. Mommy literally sends a guy to Mars with her powerful attack, and upon seeing her fight, the Daybreak Guild recognizes her fighting style. The next match is Chili against one of the Daybreak members, Diane. They both confidently step onto the stage, backed up by the cheers of their mates. The audience players were also pretty thrilled to see professional players fight. Chili too is confident, and in response, Diane straight up calls her chest, resembling an airport runway. This enrages Chili, and with that she charges at Diane, but Diane easily dodges the attack by swiftly moving to the side. The match grows more intense as both fighters exchange attacks, but despite avoiding most of them, Diane starts taking damage. Realizing she needs to get serious, Diane uses her death summoning technique, Flame Spirit, to summon a fiery hound, and sends it toward Chili. Caught off guard, Chili tries to evade the beast by leaping into the air, but to her shock, the creature teleports in front of her and strikes. Faye grows worried for her, while Mommy remains unfazed, knowing that the summoned beast possesses a higher attack power than Chili. Seeing Chili injured, Diane suggests that she surrender, but Chili brushes it off and charges toward her. As she nears, Chili unleashes a fiery tornado. Diane attempts to dodge, but Chili suddenly teleports behind her and strikes with the tornado, defeating her instantly. Believing she has won, Chili fails to realize that Diane is still alive. In a swift counterattack, Diane uses her death summoning technique, summoning 5 of her beasts and launching them at Chili, sending her flying. The host, stunned by the turn of events, announces Diane's victory as Chili is unable to stand. He then praises the resilience of the Daybreak Guild and declares the start of the next round of the competition. As the dust settles, Chili's teammates pick her up, reassuring her that she fought well despite losing. However, Chili remains deeply disappointed in herself and starts crying. Wiping away her tears, she seethes with determination, vowing to return stronger and take revenge on those who mocked her for having a flat chest. This fight also makes Lu's group realize that the Daybreak Guild is far more powerful than they had anticipated and will be a formidable challenge in future battles. The host announces the next fight, featuring Daybreak Guild's Feng, who quickly lives up to his reputation by effortlessly eliminating his opponent. The guild's archer follows suit, using his splitting arrow technique to pierce his opponent from all sides, rendering any attempts to block the attack useless. The next match features Lei, who overwhelms his enemy with lightning-fast attacks, eliminating him without even needing to unsheath his sword. Finally, the leader of the Daybreak Guild steps into the arena. Instead of launching an assault, he calmly points out his opponent's weaknesses, criticizing his improper grip and lack of control over his weapon. The audience grows confused, expecting a fight, but the opponent, visibly nervous, hesitates. As the Daybreak leader critiques and improves his technique, the opponent ultimately surrenders the match on his own. Witnessing this, other contestants lose their will to fight and begin surrendering without even attempting to battle. With the top 8 nearing completion, Luna faces off against Daybreak's Diane for the final spot. Encouraged by her team's cheers, she steps into the arena while the crowd erupts into chants for Daybreak. Right away, Diane makes a remark about Luna's chest, claiming it is bigger than Chili's. As Luna retorts, Diane swiftly summons her beasts and sends them charging at her. In response, Luna uses Starlight Slash to blind Diane before maneuvering to attack from the side. Diane, despite dodging the attack by mere inches, has her blindfold cut in the process. Luna does this intentionally, wanting to face her opponent directly and see her eyes as they fight. Seeing this, Chili and her group cheer excitedly, while the members of Daybreak watch with newfound respect for Luna. Diane's face lights up with a manic grin as she begins summoning her beasts, declaring that the gap in their skill levels is enormous. As her summoned creatures charge, Luna leaps into the air to evade them, but to her surprise, they attack from all directions. Before she can react, Diane traps her against a rock, leaving her vulnerable. Luna's team watches in shock, realizing that even she is struggling against Diane, whose mastery over her 5 attribute summons makes her an overwhelmingly powerful opponent. As Diane thought she had won, Lu knew that Luna was still ready inside the rock. Suddenly Luna burst out, her giant sword slashing through the stone as she launched a powerful strike at Diane. Despite the explosive force of the attack, Diane managed to block it with her shield. Fueled by rage and hatred, she immediately counterattacked. Diane's deep resentment stemmed from her childhood, where she constantly witnessed her parents fighting at home, blaming her for their disputes. She was also relentlessly bullied by other girls who mocked and humiliated her over her parents' divorce. The years of torment built an overwhelming hatred within her, leading her to take brutal revenge on her bullies. Seeking an escape from her hardships, she joined the game, where her fellow gamer Hu praised her for her skillful plays. However, Hu also had a perverted interest in her and attempted to force her into being his girlfriend, a situation that made Diane feel sick. She immediately retaliated, and as Hu tried to assault her, the Daybreak clan came to her rescue, ultimately banning him from the gaming cafe. The leader of Daybreak then offered Diane a position in their guild, claiming they saw great talent in her and wanted her to be part of their group. Now, in the present, Diane is filled with rage as she fights not only for herself, but also to represent Daybreak, the guild that saved her life. Determined to win for them, she unleashes her 5 summons attack, combining it with a sure kill technique to send a massive beam toward Luna. The sheer force of the attack appears to completely wipe Luna out of the arena, leaving the entire crowd in shock. However, Lu knows that Luna is clever. To everyone's shock, Luna is still in the game, balancing on her sword at the edge of the stage. As she jumps back onto the battlefield, Diane is momentarily stunned, believing Luna had leaped from the ground. However, the audience knows otherwise. Now it is Luna's turn to attack. With a powerful swing, she sends a slash wave toward Diane, who blocks it with her own. Suddenly, a few bright stars shine in the sky, momentarily blinding Diane. As she struggles to process the sudden light, stars begin raining down upon her summons, eliminating them all. Forced to retreat into her barrier, Diane remains on guard. Luna seizes the opportunity, using her giant sword slash as a distraction before swiftly jumping behind Diane. Catching her off guard, Luna strikes from behind, landing a decisive slash and winning the round. Despite her victory, Luna extends a hand of friendship, helping Diane up as she claims the final spot in the top rankings. The next round of eliminations will narrow the contestants from 8 to 4, and with only the most powerful players remaining, the battles are bound to become even more intense. The contestants get a brief break as the arena undergoes repairs. As Luna rejoins her group, they praise her for her impressive performance. However, deep down, she knows that her opponent had been fighting under immense pressure. Luna's intuition is correct. Diane stands before her guild, feeling deeply disappointed and questioning her worthiness to be part of their team. However, the leader reassures her, reminding her that she is talented but simply hasn't had enough time to practice, as she is still new to the guild. This match serves as a wake-up call for the guild, making them realize that their opponents are not to be underestimated. With the arena now fully repaired, the next round begins. The first match puts Lu against Daybreak's Feng. Feng, eager for the challenge, boldly declares his intent to fight Lu to the very end. As soon as the round starts, both fighters charge at each other with full force. The moment they collide, the entire stage shatters once again. Both fighters unleash relentless attacks, blocking and dodging each other's blows without either backing down. Despite struggling, Feng grows more excited, realizing that Lu is even stronger than before. They charge at each other once again, moving with blinding speed and creating an electrifying atmosphere in the arena. The Daybreak Guild watches in awe, impressed by Lu's performance, while Lu's team grows increasingly concerned about Feng's speed and strength. As the battle intensifies, Feng rips off his shoulder plate, claiming it was just a warm-up. In response, Lu removes his cape, and with that, they resume their assault. As Lu swings his sword, Feng catches it with his bare hands, spins around, and hurls it away. Now forced into hand-to-hand combat, they exchange a flurry of punches. Feng relentlessly throws strike after strike, but Lu manages to block each one. However, Feng soon finds an opening, knocking Lu to the ground. As Lu gets back up, he quickly counters with a powerful knee to Feng's face. Both fighters land brutal blows, turning the match into a bloody spectacle. With each passing moment, the fight grows more vicious. Lu begins to show signs of exhaustion, and Feng seizes another opportunity, landing a devastating punch that sends Lu crashing into the ground. However, instead of celebrating, Feng freezes in terror, realizing something is wrong. Without hesitation, he turns and starts running. Lu deceives Feng, using the impact of his opponent's attack to propel himself toward his weapon. Successfully retrieving it, he immediately slashes Feng down. His entire group erupts in cheers, but the Daybreak clan leader remains unfazed. He knows that Feng is like a wild wolf, clever and relentless, and his instincts prove correct. Despite being slashed, Feng rises with an even more powerful aura, his energy surging due to his passive skill, which increases his strength as his health decreases. Empowered by this ability, Feng summons his sword and, without hesitation, charges at Lu. With a devastating strike, he sends Lu flying despite his attempt to block. Feng then follows up with an aerial attack, landing a heavy blow on Lu's shoulder. Relentless, Feng unleashes a flurry of attacks, hammering Lu's sword and sending shockwaves through the arena. As the dust settles, Feng expects victory, but to his shock, Lu rises once again and resumes the fight. Seizing an opportunity, Lu suddenly leaps behind Feng, attempting a backstab. However, this time, Feng reacts quickly, countering the attack and sending Lu flying once more. Both fighters remain airborne, their respective groups watching in tense anticipation. Moments later, they crash back onto the ground. Now Feng stands fully engulfed in power and aura, determined to bring this battle to an end. With his blade raised, Feng activates his forced battle intent, targeting Lu. This ability makes Lu unable to dodge Feng's attacks and leaves him vulnerable for 10 seconds. Seizing the moment, Feng unleashes his wolf strike, preparing to strike Lu with full force. However, our boy, having fought so fiercely for so long, summons another weapon to fight with both hands. This new weapon, Hidden Dragon in the Abyss, was earned by Lu after killing the bishop and is incredibly powerful. The two clash with a burst of energy, Lu's dragon attack countering Feng's. Both fighters become fueled by the thrill of the battle, excitement driving them to push their limits. As they collide, a powerful beam of energy extends into the air, creating a thick cloud of smoke around them. The arena is engulfed in dust, and for a moment, neither can see the outcome of the battle. As the dust settles, two cliffs remain. Feng lies on one, and Lu stands victorious on the other. The host announces Lu's victory, advancing him to the next stage. The Daybreak Guild is surprised to see their talented Feng lose in a straight-up brawl, despite dealing more damage during the final exchange of moves. However, the guild leader understands that Feng's greed to get stronger, fueled by his passive spell, caused him to lose health, ultimately leading to his defeat. The leader also realizes that Lu hasn't shown his full potential yet, making him a particularly intriguing opponent. Meanwhile, in the arena, Lu helps Feng to his feet. Feng is impressed by Lu's last move, Hidden Dragon in the Abyss, and is satisfied with the outcome of the fight. Lu, in turn, praises Feng's strength, acknowledging the difficulty of the battle. Feng offers Lu a position in the Daybreak Guild, but Lu declines, revealing that he has more important matters to attend to. So, Feng invites Lu to a real-life barbecue party sometime, and Lu agrees. With that, the host announces a break as the arena needs repairs once again. He turns to the king, asking how much further they should reinforce the arena. The king orders the highest level of reinforcement and urges them to hurry. While the king appears healthy from the front, he is actually gravely ill, with cords attached to his body, and he has little time left. After a while, the arena is repaired, and the matches start again. Next up is Fei against the Daybreak leader Shu. Seeing Shu, Fei's jaw drops as he realizes he's up against the final boss. However, he quickly thinks over the situation, and decides that if he manages to win against Shu, it will be a huge setback for his opponent, and he will gain fame. Instead of trash-talking or challenging Faye, Shu asks if Faye knows what a magician should do against a warrior. According to Shu, a magician should create distance, but as he says this, he charges at Faye with full force. Caught off guard, Faye manages to block the attack. However, Shu takes the opportunity to school him, suggesting Faye should use his left hand as it is closer. As Faye tries to cast his blasts, Shu interrupts his casting. Enraged, Faye steps back and channels his fireballs, but as he does, Shu claims that this time his strategy is correct. Just as Faye is about to release the fireballs, Shu interrupts again, using his beams to disrupt the attack. Seeing Faye drop to the ground in sheer disbelief, Shu stands over him and asks him to surrender, noticing that Faye's fighting spirit seems to have vanished. The host and even Mommy recognize the immense gap between their skills. Mommy knows Shu's real name, Yang Guang, a professional gamer who has been playing for 15 years and has won 30 championship trophies. He retired and became a coach, but for this event, he returned to compete as a player. Faye, looking at Chili cheering for him, feels embarrassed. However, when he notices Lu pointing towards his ear, Faye suddenly remembers something. He recalls the time when they faced the final world boss of the game in the cafe, and his older brother Han told him to play by ear as a strategy. Faye, hearing this, thinks he might be a liability, which is why his brother advised him to play by ear. But Han reassures him that he is the most adaptable and can come up with ideas according to the situation, which is why he needs to trust his instincts and adapt as needed. Back in the present with that memory in mind, Faye rises to his feet, regaining his fighting spirit. Annoyed by Shu's constant taunts, Faye requests C to play him some music. With a crackle of his fire magic, Faye charges towards Shu. Dancing to the music while charging towards Shu, Faye confuses him. As Faye nears, Shu swings his sword, but Faye slides between Shu's legs, aiming a cheeky attack at his balls. However, Shu flips, dodging the strike with ease. Deciding to fight head-on, Faye unleashes a barrage of fireballs toward the charging Shu, who, while rushing forward, still yaps about the mistakes Faye is making. As Shu closes in, Faye summons a blazing tornado, and they both start launching punches at each other within the fiery vortex. Shu realizes, despite being a mage, Faye possesses impressively polished close combat skills. However, as Faye is still a mage at heart, Shu swings his massive blade, sending Faye flying. Still airborne, Faye counterattacks, summoning thousands of fireballs in the sky and slamming them all onto Shu at once. This explosive attack generates so much heat and blinding light that it leaves most spectators temporarily dazzled. As the smoke settles, Shu emerges unscathed, gripping his massive shield with a smug grin. This confuses Chili, who marvels that even though Shu absorbs such a massive blast, he remains unharmed. Lu reveals that Shu expertly evades and mitigates the damage, shrugging off the onslaught. Returning to the fight, Faye grows exhausted, expending his energy to hold Shu at bay. Shu, spotting Faye's labored breathing, presses forward, seizing the advantage. As Shu swings his massive sword, Faye, in a stunning display, halts the blade with his bare hand. This feat signals Faye's activation of his ultimate firepower move, a legendary skill that consumes all his mana points to grant him immense power. Shu, taken aback by the sight of such a strong technique, falters, but Faye wastes no time. He delivers a brutal kick, sending Shu soaring through the air. As Shu struggles to process, Faye flashes behind him in a blur of motion and, with another powerful strike, sends him crashing into the ground. Faye follows up relentlessly, conjuring his signature flaming tornadoes, which swirl with ferocious intensity, impressing both groups of onlookers. Channeling every ounce of his remaining spells and energy, Faye summons a colossal Goku-like fireball and hurls it towards Shu with unyielding ferocity. Seeing the attack coming, Shu knows that tanking it would be fatal, so he swiftly uses his shield parry skill, which can reflect a single enemy attack. As Shu sends the massive fireball back, Faye finds himself completely out of mana, leaving him unable to dodge. The attack hits him directly, sending him crashing to the ground. Shu, standing victorious, praises Faye's spell usage, calling him talented. Suddenly, a gust of wind blows past him, drawing everyone's attention to his impressively sculpted cheeks. The entire crowd finds itself momentarily distracted, marveling at the sheer definition of his rock-hard butt. Meanwhile, as Faye lies defeated on the ground, he feels no disappointment in himself. Instead, he remains focused, knowing that he has gathered valuable information about Shu, information that will be crucial for his brother in the battle to come. Shu, still standing with his pants down, praises Faye for putting up a good fight, making his entire crew, and even the hosts, cringe in embarrassment. For the next round, Mommy steps onto the stage with confidence. However, to her surprise, her opponent, the archer from the Daybreak group, already knows who she is. He claims to be her longtime fan, having followed her career closely. He knows her story, the competition she participated in and won, and even the guild she once belonged to. Despite her impressive legacy, the archer expresses disappointment that she retired so quickly. Hearing all this, Mommy briefly wonders if the guy has a crush on her. However, with Lu watching her closely, she knows there's no time for hesitation. Just as she processes everything, Chili urgently warns her that the archer is channeling something behind his back, while keeping her distracted with his chatter. Suddenly, a massive tree erupts from behind the archer, its thick branches shooting skyward, shaking the ground with its sheer force. The spell, Descent of the Demonic Tree summons a massive, sinister tree whose demonic vines lash out at opponents. As the towering tree takes form, the archer swiftly leaps to the top, preparing to strike from above. However, Mommy is not one to back down. She charges at the tree, slashing through its thick roots, while the archer retaliates with his Rain of Arrows spell. As countless arrows descend from the sky, she conjures a barrier around herself, deflecting them. But before she can catch her breath, the archer follows up with an invisible arrow, a precise shot that barely grazes her hair. Undeterred, Mommy pushes forward, blocking the relentless barrage of arrows as she closes the distance. She quickly realizes that the archer is using the tree as a vantage point, combining it with his kiting technique to wear her down. If she doesn't disrupt his strategy soon, she'll be at a serious disadvantage. With a swift decision, she hacks off a massive log from the demonic tree and hurls it straight at the archer, forcing him to react. Using the log as a stepping platform, Mommy propels herself upward, closing in on the archer. In response, he fires his mandala arrow to stop her midair. She blocks the attack, but just as she prepares to strike, he counters with a blank arrow, sending her crashing back to the ground. The archer smirks, confident in his advantage. He reminds her that an archer holding a strong position always has trump cards. As Mommy attempts to fire back with a retort, a sudden weakness overtakes her. Her body feels heavy, her movement sluggish. A chilling realization sets in. She's been poisoned. Seeing her falter, the archer casually explains that the poison comes from his mandala arrow, a deadly technique designed to drain her until there's nothing left. With a mocking grin, he taunts her, questioning how long she can keep fighting under the poison's effects while he continuously regenerates mana. Mommy clutches her wound, fully aware that she has only 30 seconds before the poison takes her down. In this short window, she must close the distance to the archer while avoiding his relentless attacks, including his devastating knockback skill. As she formulates a strategy, the archer unleashes another volley of arrows. She swiftly dodges and charges forward, closing in. To gain momentum, she activates Mountain Shaking Stomp, propelling herself high into the air. With her leg loaded for a powerful kick, she aims directly at the archer. However, he counters with a knockback arrow, sending her hurtling backward. But mid-air, Mommy refuses to lose control. She fires her clap attack, striking the archer and throwing him off balance. As he stumbles on the tree branch, she sees her opening and launches herself at him with full force. Desperate, the archer retaliates with a barrage of arrows, but Mommy, unfazed, rips a piece of tree bark and uses it as a shield against the incoming projectiles. Just as victory seems within reach, another mandala arrow strikes her. Her body goes numb as she begins plummeting toward the ground, free-falling with no way to stop her descent. The Daybreak Guild members watch in admiration, praising the archer's tactical, underhanded style, a strategy built on analyzing his opponents and formulating the perfect counterattack. Despite Mommy's fall from the tree, the competition continues, heightening Archer's paranoia. To his horror, she suddenly rises from the rubble and charges at him, with only 3 seconds remaining before the poison takes effect. As Archer fires a blank arrow, she evades it by sliding across the ground and counters with her ultimate move, unleashing a relentless barrage of punches. Consumed by rage, she continues her assault, striking him relentlessly. With just 1 second left until the poison takes its toll, she delivers a devastating blow to Archer's gut, bringing him down as she collapses alongside him at the exact moment the countdown ends. Both Archer and Mommy are knocked out simultaneously, losing their ability to continue the fight. As a result, the host consults the king to determine the final outcome. The members of the Daybreak Guild are also stunned by the fact that Mommy managed to reduce 70% of Archer's health points in just 3 seconds, an astonishing feat. According to their leader, she may have entered the zone state, a paranormal physical and mental condition observed among athletes. In this state, individuals perceive everything around them as slow, predictable, and weak, allowing them to perform seemingly inhuman feats. Hearing this, Feng becomes eager to experience it as well. After some time, the host returns with the decision to eliminate both contestants, as both were knocked out simultaneously, and the match continues. Mommy, feeling disappointed in herself, is comforted by her group as they attempt to cheer her up. Lu also praises her, instantly lifting her spirits as she considers him her husband. Next are the final 2 contestants of the round, Luna versus Daybreak Lei. As Luna walks to the stage, she receives a call from her father, who informs her that the lab reports indicate her compatibility level is higher than others, urging her to come with him to the company. Excited by the prospect of going with her father, Luna is eager to comply but asks for some time since her match is about to begin. However, her father refuses, stating that a guard will arrive soon to pick her up. As he speaks, chaos erupts in the aquarium, with sharks going wild as the larger ones relentlessly devour the smaller ones. Back in the game, Luna apologizes to her teammates, explaining that she needs to leave. They reassure her not to worry, reminding her that Lu is still in the competition. With that, she logs off, resulting in Daybreak Lei advancing to the next stage without a fight. With only 3 players remaining for the finals, the host, following a majority decision, pairs Daybreak Lei against their leader, Shu, in a semi-final match. This excites Lu's group, as it means he advances directly into the finals. Meanwhile, within the Daybreak team, a discussion arises about Lei forfeiting the match. However, Lei insists on fighting Lu, In response, Shu steps back and forfeits the match to avoid an unnecessary battle between their own members. The host acknowledges this as a wise decision and officially announces the final match between Lu and Daybreak's Lei. As their names are called, Lu's group cheers for him, but just as he is about to step onto the stage, Feng stops him, revealing critical information about Lei to balance the match. Having observed some of his cards during their previous fight, Feng claims that there is no way Lu can defeat her. With that, both contestants step onto the stage, and the final round begins. As the whistle blows, both fighters charge at each other with their stealth skills active, vanishing from sight. Completely invisible, they reappear by launching and blocking each other's attacks. Their battle unfolds in a flurry of rapid movements, so fast and intense that the onlookers feel as if multiple fighters are clashing across the arena. Seizing a slight opening, Lu swings at Lei, but she effortlessly dodges and counters with a barrage of kicks, driving him back. Refusing to back down, both strike each other simultaneously, creating a powerful shockwave that sends them flying in opposite directions. Watching this, Lu's group realizes that the two seem to be on the same power level. They lunge at each other once more, unleashing a series of skillful attacks after catching their breath. As Lu charges forward, Lei swiftly evades and counters, forcing him into a vulnerable position. With his back turned, she follows up with a mighty kick, but at the last moment, Lu reacts. He blinks behind her just in time, using his backstab ability. As he is about to strike, she also swiftly uses backstab behind Lu, landing a precise hit. She follows up with a flying cross armbar, forcing Lu into a struggle to retrieve his weapon. Despite the disadvantage, he manages to get a hand on it and pushes her off. While fighting her, Lu begins to realize that she is testing him. He recalls Feng mentioning that Lei is exceptionally strong and was once a renowned mercenary captain. Highly proficient in various firearms, she possesses remarkable accuracy and near-perfect knife skills. However, during a mission to rescue kidnapped children with bombs planted on their bodies, she was betrayed by her own teammates, who had been bribed by the opposition. Despite sustaining injuries, she managed to eliminate them all, but only with the last few bullets remaining in her gun. Despite this, she threw her dagger toward the criminal boss holding the detonator for the bombs. However, he managed to press it before succumbing to his injuries, triggering the explosions and killing everyone present. This traumatic event was the reason Lei abandoned her life as a mercenary and returned to the country, where Shu later discovered her and introduced her to esports. Now she is not only an elite sharpshooter, but also the top-ranked assassin on the list. Recalling these details only heightened Lu's excitement. With their power fully channeled, both fighters charged at each other once more, ready for an intense clash. As they collide, Lu grows frustrated that Lei is fighting with her unsheathed sword. Fueled by that frustration, he swings at her, but she swiftly dodges. However, Lu quickly follows up with another attack, sending Lei recoiling. She realizes that his twin swords are incredibly fast as she blocks them, forcing her to reassess her approach. Jumping back, Lei activates her Thunder Clone technique, creating 5 identical clones that relentlessly attack Lu from all directions. Despite his efforts to block their strikes, he still takes damage. Desperate, he attempts a counterattack, only to realize too late that he has been targeting a clone. The real Lei is behind him. Reacting swiftly, Lu casts his backstab and clone spell, striking Lei from both the front and back simultaneously. Lei manages to escape by sidestepping, and her crew watches in awe at the sheer number of tricks Lu has up his sleeve. However, Feng understands the reality. Despite Lu's efforts, he stands little chance against an enraged Lei. Back in the battle, Lei finally unsheathes her blade, unleashing an immense surge of energy that crackles through the air. She declares that its power is too overwhelming, which is why she had refrained from using it until now. Without hesitation, she sends a massive slash toward Lu, striking him with incredible force. As Lu struggles to recover, his clone charges at Lei in an attempt to stop her, but she reveals that her Thunder Sword attack is unstoppable until its target is eliminated. Meanwhile, Lu, overwhelmed by the immense skill pressure, finds himself unable to move. Desperate, he activates his Dragon Abyss spell, countering Lei's attack just in time. A colossal lightning strike descends upon her, shaking the battlefield with its sheer force. The entire crowd is gripped by the overwhelming energy and destructive power of the clash. Even the Daybreak group watches in shock, their eyes widening as they witness something completely unexpected. As the dust settles, Lu warns his clone to stay alert, but before it can react, Lei suddenly emerges from a portal and stabs him. It is her Divine Escape passive skill, which allows her to retreat into a portal whenever she receives lethal damage. However, Lei is taken aback when she realizes that she has struck Lu's clone. The real Lu stands right in front of her, unharmed. Both fighters acknowledge each other's strength, but Lei, unfazed, declares that resistance is futile. Without hesitation, she summons her illusions once again, unleashing a storm of massive electric strikes in the arena. The strikes are so powerful that even the birds are not spared. These strikes merge in the sky before crashing down to the ground. Lu narrowly dodges the attack, growing anxious upon realizing that her opponent's ability has no cooldown. Fei also finds it unfair, considering his ultimate move has a cooldown while hers does not. Meanwhile, Feng remains focused, understanding that despite despite Lu's efforts, the outcome of the battle now depends on Lei. Wielding the mythical-grade weapon, the Thunderblade, she has access to exceptionally powerful spells. Lu is stunned to see such a weapon in her possession, knowing that no known boss has been revealed to drop it. Lei then reveals that she obtained it during the closed beta, further shocking Lu. Realizing this, he grows curious about his brother Han, and questions whether Lei has any information about him. She confirms that she does but refuses to share anything unless Lu can defeat her. Believing that, as Han's brother, he should be far beyond her level, she sets the condition that if he loses, she will not reveal a single detail. Lu agrees to the challenge and charges forward with full determination. As he closes the distance, he leaps into the air, activating his rending burst blade. Lei counters immediately with Thunder Explosion, unleashing a massive blast. Despite absorbing the impact, Lu continues to fight against her clones while being attacked from all sides. Although he takes several hits, he manages to eliminate all the clones. However, the effort leaves him severely injured. Observing his weakened state, Lei remarks that he will not survive long enough to learn anything about his brother. This ignites a renewed sense of determination in Lu, driving him to launch another attack. Lei, however, sees through his strategy instantly. As a clone rushes toward her from the front, she quickly deduces that the real Lu is approaching from the side. Reacting swiftly, she slashes at the approaching figure, only to be caught off guard. Lu, using his place swap skill, switches positions with his clone at the last moment, trapping them both within the encircling force of his rendering spell blade. Lei realizes that he intends to take her down with him, but before she can react, she is stunned by the sight before her. Standing in front of her, radiating an immense and terrifying aura, Lu has entered his maniac Asura form. The energy from Lu's form is so intense that it begins to crack Lei's mask. This triggers a memory from 2 years ago, when she and Shu were the only ones left standing after a brutal battle in the game. Despite their efforts, the mythical grade boss they had been fighting remained undefeated. As members of the first guild to encounter this boss during the closed beta, they knew that the loot, consisting of weapons and valuable resources, would be highly rewarding. With Shu exhausted and severely injured, he handed Lei a code container, an item that would allow a weapon or piece of equipment to be bound exclusively to her. Before they could act further, the boss interrupted, launching a powerful beam at them. Shu, using the last of his strength, raised his shield to counter the attack, but his efforts were only enough to delay the inevitable. Moments later, he fell, dying in the game. Seizing the opening his sacrifice had created, Lei immediately activated her Thunder Clone technique and combined it with her sword skills. Through an intense and grueling battle, she unleashed a devastating final strike, completely obliterating the boss. As Lei delivers the final blow to the boss, a knight suddenly appears from within, radiating powerful thunder energy. Identifying himself as Helmod Thunder, he declares that she alone has witnessed his true form. Rising into the air, he commands Lei to tremble before him and unleashes a devastating hellish strike, obliterating everything in the area. Turning his attention to Lei, he prepares to blast her with his immense power radiating from within, making her feel utterly powerless. Just as the attack is about to land, another voice calls out, interrupting the knight and chastising him for bullying Lei. Irritated, Helmod swiftly shifts his focus to the newcomer and attacks. However, before he can strike, the figure, Han, fully transformed into his Asura form, counters with a powerful beam, instantly obliterating nearly half of the knight's body. Recognizing the attack, the knight hesitates and questions whether he is truly Lady Wu. Han, dismissing the remark as nonsense, leaps down and, before the knight can retaliate, unleashes the full force of his Asura mode, blasting him apart. As the knight fades away, he drops the magical thunder sword, its blade buzzing with power. Lei quickly jumps forward and grabs it, while Han calmly tells her it's hers to keep and introduces himself. Lei is stunned by his kindness, amazed that Han lets her take the legendary sword so easily, even though she stole it. As Lei walks away, she promises to repay him for his generosity. Back in the present, everyone watches nervously, staring at the glowing red ball that Lu has just made, its energy lighting up the air. But when the ball disappears, the crowd gasps. Lu stands with his sword pressed against Lei's neck with her own weapon lying on the ground. Realizing he has the upper hand, Lu asks her for information about his missing brother with determination in his voice. Lei hears the question and suddenly sees the spirit of Han standing beside Lu. Her mind drifts back to the time she spent with Han after he defeated the Helmod Thunder. At first, Han helped her even though they were strangers, but Lei insisted on repaying him for the value of the Thunder Sword. To do so, she suggests traveling with him as his companion until the sword's worth is paid off. Together, they fought many monsters side by side and defeated every challenge that came their way. During these battles, Lei witnessed Han's incredible strength and his powerful Asura mode. One day, while fighting a monster, Lei's mask fell off. As Han picked it up and handed it back to her, he complimented her appearance, even though Lei felt shy about the scar on her face. Han's kind words about her scar create a deep emotional bond between them. Snapping back to the present, Lei adjusts her mask and reveals to Lu that she was in the same party as his brother during the beta test. Lu, eager to learn more, asks when she last saw his brother. Lei recalls a peaceful night when she and Han rested by a cozy campfire. Han, however, seems worried and reveals that a mysterious door had opened in the game, a door that should have stayed closed. He explains that he needs to leave for a while to shut it, as he is the only one who can enter that place. Lei offers to go with him, but Han refuses, insisting she stay behind. He reassures her that once he returns, they will meet in real life for a date. Han also shares his excitement about introducing her to his brothers outside the game. After that, Lei never heard from Han again. As Lei shares this story, Lu realizes that the door Han mentioned might be the infernal purgatory that Lady Wu was talking about. Lei adds that Han warned her about the door, saying that if it isn't closed, its effects will spread everywhere. While they discuss this, the host suddenly interrupts, excitedly announcing Lu as the winner of the competition. The crowd bursts into cheers and applause, celebrating his victory. The king then steps forward to address the audience, announcing a grand award ceremony and inviting Lu onto the stage. But as the king speaks, he begins bleeding from his nose and mouth. Struggling to continue, he warns that there is no time left and urges everyone to hurry with the ceremony. With that, Lu and his group are escorted to the king's palace by the king's assistant. The assistant apologizes at the gate, explaining that he doesn't have permission to enter, and hands them over to two stewards. The stewards lead Lu's group inside, guiding them through the grand palace. Along the way, they reveal that the members of the winning team are allowed to choose any treasure from the king's treasury, which is hidden deep beneath the palace. As they descend into the treasury, the group is amazed by how far down it goes. Faye, in particular, remarks that kings must love showing off, building such a massive palace with an enormous underground treasury. His eyes light up, however, when he sees piles of glittering gold and rare items waiting inside. Chili and Faye rush toward the treasures, eager to grab everything, but the stewards quickly explain that each person can take only one item. Mommy claims she doesn't want anything and offers her share to Lu, but Lu knows she is short on items and insists she take something for herself, recognizing her need. Afterward, Lu is guided to the deepest part of the palace, where he meets the king. 2 seats await them, and the king orders Lu to sit. Lu hesitates, startled by the king's frail and weakened appearance. The king gets straight to the point, asking if Lu wants to know why he was so desperate to meet him. Lu, however, brushes the question aside, instead demanding to know why the king didn't send all his warriors to rescue his daughter instead of organizing the competition. The king, impressed, remarks that Lu is wiser than he expected. Suddenly, metal clamps spring out of the chair, trapping Lu in place. Unable to move, Lu listens as the king reveals the shocking truth. Everything has been a lie, and the real purpose of the competition was to find the perfect vessel for him. With that, the king removes his robes, revealing a frail and weakened body underneath. Suddenly, his body begins to swell and grow stronger as he declares his plan to use Lu to regain his youth and become young again. Seeing Lu struggle against the restraints, the king mocks him, revealing that escape is impossible because the locks on the chair are unbreakable. With a menacing grin, the king approaches Lu, and a glowing mark on his chest begins to pulse, slowly draining the life force from Lu's body. Meanwhile, Lu's group remains unaware. Busy exploring the treasury, Faye literally found the Infinity Gauntlet. Mommy, however, remains calm and notices the stewards locking the treasury door. When she questions them, the stewards begin channeling energy into their bodies, revealing their true intentions: to trap the group and send them to their doom. Using their powers and the magical equipment in the treasury, the stewards transform into 2 towering guard knights. The group stands in shock, but Mommy urges them to focus and fight for now. As they charge at one of the knights, it unleashes a powerful wing explosion spell, sending everyone crashing to the ground. The knights mock them, sneering that the group is far too weak to stand against them. Despite being injured, Mommy realizes the knights are incredibly strong and begins to worry about what kind of danger Lu might be facing. Meanwhile, our boy is getting sucked, the life force. The king, eager to justify his actions, claims that unlike other kings who seek immortality out of greed or fear of death, he does it for the will of the people and the heavens. He believes the world is a chaotic place, overrun by monsters that destroy human lives, leaving even rivers unsafe. Eventually, people turn on each other, and the heavens, unable to bear the suffering any longer, choose the king as their savior. The king reveals that he was once a slave under a cruel master. One day, enraged by the master's brutality, he kills him with a large rock, earning the gratitude of the other slaves he frees. Together, they fight the master's army, emerging victorious after a brutal battle. With this victory, the king forms a knight squad, defeats demons, restores the land, and gradually builds a prosperous kingdom. He also marries to continue his bloodline, but just as he reaches the height of his power, a mysterious illness strikes. The doctors warn him that his time is running out, and death is near. The king, viewing himself as a beacon of hope for his people, refuses to accept death. Desperate, he pleaded with the gods, questioning why they abandoned him after all his good deeds. Willing to pay any price, the heavens finally answer, granting him immense demonic power to drain the life force from healthy individuals. In a twisted demonic ritual, the king first uses this power on his own wife, then targets his very own daughter, claiming it is all to restore light to the kingdom. Returning to the present, as he drains the life force from Lu, he declares that Lu is the final step in his plan. Suddenly, Lu's body explodes into a burst of blood, but a voice calls out from above. The king looks up, shocked to realize the Lu he attacked was merely a clone. The real Lu confronts him, condemning the king's inhumane actions. Enraged, the king summons his stewards for reinforcement. The two stewards leap to his aid, and Lu, horrified, realizes his teammates might be in mortal danger. The stewards, laughing cruelly, confirm that his friends are already dead. This revelation pushes Lu into a state of pure fury. He charges at them, fueled by rage, while the king sacrifices both stewards, summoning a powerful sword and staff, channeling his energy into these deadly weapons. Meanwhile, the rest of Lu's group is ejected from the game as their mission abruptly ends. Chili fumes over their missed chance to grab more items, while Mommy wonders if it might be part of a hidden mission. With 30 minutes until they can revive, the group heads out for coffee to pass the time. At Lu's house, Faye also waits for the revival timer to run out, disappointed that he couldn't help his brother. Once the timer ends, Faye logs back into the game. In the intense battle between Lu and the king, Lu charges forward while his eyes blazing with the intent to kill. Though the king blocks his attack, Lu cleverly uses a backstab move, striking the king from behind. The slash leaves only a momentary scratch on the king, who quickly recovers and launches a powerful spell in retaliation. However, the spell deliberately misses Lu, as the king avoids damaging his intended vessel. The king taunts Lu, demanding his surrender and calling him weak, boasting that Lu has only fought minor monsters and players, while he, the king, has conquered entire armies of earth and sea creatures. Lu realizes he is outmatched, nowhere near the king's level of power, but refuses to give up. Using a stealth spell, he slips into the shadows, gaining some height to plan his next move. From his elevated position, Lu drinks a regenerative potion, realizing he needs to adopt a guerrilla-style approach to fight the king. The king, however, quickly figures out Lu's strategy. Proclaiming himself a tiger, the king casts a gravity control spell, generating a powerful force that drags Lu toward the ground. Lu barely manages to land on his feet, but he swiftly summons shadow clones and launches a relentless series of attacks on the king. The king blocks every strike with ease, and when he counterattacks, he leaves an opening for Lu to exploit. Despite Lu's efforts, the king catches Lu's sword with his bare hands, while the spirits of the stewards control the weapons. The king then casts another gravity control spell, pulling Lu deeper into a swirling pool of water. Realizing the situation is growing dire, Lu decides to play his trump card. As the king focuses on his weapons, a blinding beam of light slashes across his cheek, followed by Lu emerging from the water in his powerful aqua form. Lu activated the Phantom God's earring, which transforms himself into different races to gain unique advantages. Currently, he takes on the form of a fishman, boosting his abilities in water. The king's enchanted weapons, furious at Lu's transformation, attempt to strike him, but Lu swiftly dives into the water. With a rapid motion, he emerges from the side of the king, aiming for a surprise attack from behind. However, the king's sword senses him and sends him flying through the air. As Lu descends, he transforms again, this time into a pigman, a race with increased attack power but reduced intelligence. In this form, he charges at the king with brute force, slashing the king's left arm. The king's weapons retaliate, striking back and cutting Lu's arm in the process. Both quickly regenerate their wounds, and the king, impressed, praises Lu for his remarkable skills. The king grows even more excited, thrilled that his intended vessel possesses such incredible abilities and hidden talents. Lu, however, realizes his usual moves are ineffective and decides to use his secret weapon, the Hidden Dragon Abyss skill, as no other options seem to work. Banking on its power, Lu channels an immense amount of energy into the skill, launching himself at the king with overwhelming force, catching him off guard. Fueled by rage, Lu unleashes his attack toward the king, who charges forward and effortlessly disrupts it. To the king's surprise, however, the attack comes from a clone Lu created using the spell, while the real Lu lurks behind him, channeling the full power of the Hidden Dragon Abyss. The true attack strikes the king head-on, sending him crashing into the palace wall with tremendous force. The king manages to reduce the damage by summoning a protective barrier and lands on his feet, now determined to end the fight. Lu, feeling the strain of battle, braces himself for what comes next. The king, radiating powerful energy, channels his gravity control spell, forming a massive water bubble that traps Lu inside. As Lu transforms back into his fishman form to maneuver, sharp, jagged rocks suddenly hurl toward him, pinning him in place within the bubble. With a maniacal grin, the king offers Lu a choice: to accept his so-called baptism. Lu, however, is struck with shock as the king reveals he knows Lu is merely a player in the game. The king declares that the heavens have already revealed the secrets of their world, explaining that it was created solely to entertain players like Lu. At first, the king thought this was just a metaphor, but as the heavens enhanced his intelligence, he came to understand the harsh truth. His existence is bound by rules, trapped in an endless cycle of repetition. Realizing he is nothing more than a pawn in a game controlled by players, the king refuses to accept his fate. He labels Lu and others like him as invaders, vowing that his purpose is to drive them all out of his world. Lu, stunned, struggles to comprehend how a digital character like the king can think so logically, and questions what this heaven he speaks of truly is. Drawing closer to Lu, the king reveals his chilling curiosity that he wants to discover what happens to Lu's soul once he takes full control of his body. Desperate, Lu, realizing he's in grave danger, asks the king if he knows Han. The name feels vaguely familiar to the king, but he dismisses it as his mind already set on destroying Lu. Suddenly Lu uses his race-switching ability, transforming into the pig in an attempt to escape. But as the king begins to drain his life force, he becomes enraged, realizing that this too is another clone, not the real Lu. Meanwhile, the real Lu hides nearby, staying cautious as he waits for the cooldown on his appearance-switching ability to end. Using his lizard race form to climb, Lu tries to escape, but the king, determined to claim his body, decides to break Lu's arms and legs first, confident he can repair the damage later. With a sinister grin, the king summons a surge of water and casts an elemental control spell, sealing off the exit Lu aims for with a wall of ice. But the king doesn't stop there. Suddenly, a storm of razor-sharp ice shards rains down from the icy barrier. Lu's body, vulnerable as a cold-blooded lizard, begins to freeze in the chilling cold, leaving him unable to move. A massive shard strikes him, knocking him to the ground, where it shatters into multiple jagged spikes, pinning Lu to an icy slab. With no other means of escape, the king grabs Lu by the throat and prepares to drain Lu's life force. Just then, Faye and Chili burst onto the scene with a fiery explosion, followed by Mommy, who charges in and delivers a powerful kick to the king, knocking him away and saving their teammate in the nick of time. As the king regains his footing, his enchanted weapons express shock at seeing Lu's group alive, insisting that they had already killed them. The king, however, remains unfazed, explaining that this is typical of the player race. They revive after death. He reveals his true plan. By completely eliminating a player using his body-snatching technique, he can take control of their bodies and use them all as his vessels. Hearing this, Lu urgently warns his teammates to beware of the glowing mark on the king's chest, which serves as his life-draining weapon. As the group rushes to help Lu, the king commands his weapons to eliminate them. The staff charges toward Faye and Chili, who respond by hurling fireballs at her. She effortlessly blocks their attacks, conjuring a gravity barrier to shield herself. Unable to break through, Faye and Chili combine their powers, unleashing a dual tornado dance, a massive fiery blast that shatters the barrier and scorches the steward in the process. The intense heat also melts all the surrounding ice. Meanwhile, on the other side, Mommy battles the sword, unleashing her ultimate move, a barrage of fists, relentlessly pummeling him. She overpowers the smaller opponent, and as he attempts to retaliate, she sends him flying with her big melon's power. The king, however, catches the falling sword in midair and, fueled by rage, unleashes a devastating sword wind explosion. As the massive attack hurtles toward Lu's group, they brace themselves for the impact. Just in the nick of time, the Daybreak Guild arrives to assist, and their leader, Shu, uses his shield parry skill to deflect the king's attack, sending it roaring back toward the king and wounding him severely. Lu, surprised to see the guild, learns from Faye that they were the ones who called for backup. The Daybreak Guild leader flashes a thumbs up, offering their help in exchange for splitting the boss rewards 50-50, an offer Lu's group quickly accepts. With the agreement sealed, Feng, the Daybreak Guild's fierce fighter, charges at the king with a wild manic grin, while the rest of the guild takes their positions. As Feng swings his razor-sharp sword, the king narrowly dodges and counters, sending Feng flying through the air. Feng lands gracefully on his feet and charges again, this time joined by Lei. Just as the king prepares to cast a powerful spell, the Daybreak Archer interrupts him, striking from a high vantage point and disarming him, while Diane, another guild member, traps the king to the ground with entangling roots. Immobilized, the king braces himself as Feng and Lei attack him relentlessly from both sides, their combined assault overwhelming his defenses. They both land solid slashes on the king, but Lei senses something is wrong and urgently orders Feng to retreat and gain some distance. It's already too late, however, as the king grabs them both by the arms and hurls them against the palace wall with tremendous force. The Daybreak Archer, attempting to strike, is countered when his own invisible arrow is sent flying back, piercing his body. The king presses his advantage, smashing Diane's summoned creature and moving to crush her, but Shu intervenes just in time, raising his shield to protect her. Enraged, the king unleashes a furious barrage of punches on the shield, taunting Shu. In response, Shu transforms into his powerful half-demon form, determined to avenge his fallen teammates. While Shu previously focused on defense, he now counters the king's attacks with equal ferocity. Meanwhile, Lu's group rushes to aid the injured Daybreak Guild members, helping them recover. In the midst of the chaotic battle, Shu unleashes his Daybreak Slash, creating an opening. Seizing the moment, Lu leaps behind the king and delivers a powerful slash to his back. This distraction buys enough time for the rest of the team to regroup, recover, and launch a relentless unified assault on the king. Their combined power tears through the palace, the sheer force of their attacks threatening to bring the entire structure crumbling down in flames. The villagers gasp in shock as flames erupt from the palace, while the guards shout for reinforcements to contain the chaos. Inside, Lu's group and the Daybreak Guild wait anxiously for the dust to settle, knowing they have unleashed the most powerful attack they could muster. To their dismay, the king emerges from the wreckage with only a few scratches, and, even more surprisingly, his 2 minions are still alive. Without hesitation, the king sacrifices his minions, absorbing their power to fuel his own strength. The combined squad, seeing their chance, charges at the king, determined to finish him off once and for all. The king, now abandoning his plan to use Lu as a vessel, channels all his energy into his hands and slams them into the ground, unleashing a massive shockwave. The devastating force shakes the entire kingdom, reducing the palace to rubble in an instant. Even the villagers far away feel the earth tremble beneath their feet. As the dust finally settles, all members of the Daybreak Guild and Lu's group lie dead, except for Lu, who clings to life, badly injured. The king, spotting Lu still alive, decides to take him as a vessel after all, his earlier resolve forgotten. As Lu braces himself for the end, the tome of random achievements unexpectedly activates. It assigns Lu a daring mission, to defeat the king single-handedly, not just by winning, but by utterly humiliating him with overwhelming power. As the king prepares to drain Lu's life force, he pauses, curious if Lu has any final tricks up his sleeve. In an instant, Lu transforms into his Asura mode, his body radiating raw power. Impressed by Lu's unyielding fighting spirit despite the odds, the king acknowledges his resolve, and with that, the two launch into a ferocious battle, trading relentless attacks. As they fight, the king realizes that Lu's speed and strength have increased dramatically, catching him off guard. While the king processes this, Lu seizes the moment, grabbing the king by the face and dragging him across the ground with brutal force. The king retaliates, landing a powerful punch that sends Lu flying, then follows up with massive slashing fist strikes. Though the king fights fiercely, he grows uneasy as Lu's fighting spirit intensifies, bolstered by the towering, menacing form of an Asura dragon looming behind him. As the battle rages on, Lu suddenly leaps at the king, striking him in the face with his sharp horns. The king pushes him back, but Lu charges again, delivering a flurry of blows while taking hits in return. The intense fight continues, with both combatants sending each other crashing into the surrounding rubble, neither willing to yield. Despite Lu's bones breaking under the strain, he grows increasingly ferocious, which deeply unsettles the king. Pausing briefly to catch their breath, they resume their brutal clash. Meanwhile, the host and a few guards, observing the ruined palace from a distance, stand confused about the chaos unfolding. Suddenly they spot Faye and the others tumbling out of the wreckage and rush to help them. Back in the fight, the king struggles to keep up, realizing that he now has no choice but to destroy Lu completely. Leaping into the air, the king unleashes a devastating explosive blast at Lu, but Lu, with astonishing power, interrupts the attack by merely swinging his bare hand. In retaliation, Lu unleashes his Asura assault, a relentless barrage of strikes that slices the king in half. Bro got divided, damn. As the king's body begins to revert to its weakened form, he collapses, desperately pleading with Lu and the mysterious infernal purgatory to save him. Lu, hearing the world, gets shocked and suddenly sees a massive digital crack opens in front of him. Down on the ground, the hosts assume that Faye and the others have been injured by the evil dragon responsible for destroying the palace. However, their jaws drop in shock as a massive digital crack begins forming in the sky, resembling the onset of an apocalypse. Back at the palace, relief washes over the king's face as he gazes at the crack, referring to it as infernal purgatory, an entity that has answered his pleas. However, Lu has no patience for his ramblings. With a single decisive strike, he severs the king's head. In his final moments, the king looks toward the crack, wondering if he will ever see the goddess again. Lu, realizing that this might be the place where his brother Han is, immediately leaps toward the rift. Just as he is about to enter, the game suddenly freezes. The entrance to purgatory is right in front of him, yet he finds himself unable to move. A voice speaks from behind, coming from a floating orb, asking if he truly wants to enter purgatory to search for his brother. The orb then coldly reveals that Han is already dead. Darkness clouds Lu's expression, but before despair can set in, the orb casually admits that it was only joking. Suddenly, thousands more orbs appear, chattering among themselves, debating whether to allow Lu entry. To settle the matter, they decide to play rock, paper, scissors. When the deciding orb loses, the verdict is set. They collectively deny him access. Suddenly, a massive winged being appears, revealing that Lu is about to die. Without hesitation, it unleashes a devastating blast, tearing a hole through Lu's chest. This triggers the force eject mechanism in his VR suit as a sudden spike in his heart rate is detected. However, the ejection process fails, and the system initiates a forced reboot, which also begins to malfunction. The figure, keeping Lu alive in the game for a little longer, allows him to witness the opening ceremony that his brother failed to stop. A massive digital crack begins forming in the sky, resembling a catastrophic rift tearing the world apart. All across the globe, players watch in horror as similar ominous digital cracks emerge, spreading like fractures in reality itself. These cracks merge into one colossal rupture, synchronizing two worlds in a breathtaking yet terrifying display of power. As the fusion reaches its peak, Zhuang and other boss leaders are summoned. Countless bosses and monstrous creatures are teleported across the world, ready to unleash chaos. The winged figure then reveals that this marks the start of a new phase in the game, Huanyue version 2.0, Infernal Purgatory. With that, Lu's form begins to slowly dissipate. As the evil forces advance, the players attempt to stop them, but are effortlessly defeated as the enemies unleash their devastating spike spell. In a desperate attempt to flee, they find their path blocked by Bloodclaw, who mercilessly slaughters them with his powerful claw attacks. Witnessing this massacre, the remaining players and drop teams rally together to launch a counterattack. However, with a single devastating strike, Zhuang sends them all flying like a scattering of featherlight leaves. Satisfied with his overwhelming power, Zhuang commands his forces to collect the souls of the fallen and return to the Blood Moon, where they will receive their rewards. This announcement fuels the monsters' bloodlust, driving them to attack with even greater ferocity. Meanwhile, in the real world, a young player lies in bed, fully immersed in the VR game. His mother enters the room, frustrated by his obsessive gaming, and scolds him for neglecting everything else. Growing angrier at his lack of response, she forcefully removes his VR helmet, only to fall back in horror. Her child lies motionless, as if his very soul has been sucked away. Similar incidents begin occurring worldwide, with countless players falling victim to the game's sinister trap. News of the crisis spreads rapidly, revealing that nearly 1 billion players are unable to exit the game, seemingly held hostage by Destiny Corporation. The situation escalates as protests erupt outside the corporation's headquarters, demanding answers. However, security forces hold back the crowds while the CEO of Destiny Corporation urges patience, assuring everyone that they are working on a solution. Inside the corporation's conference hall, chaos erupts among the board members. Furious arguments break out, with executives panicking over the company's impending downfall. The CEO silences the room, demanding an explanation for the crisis. One of the technicians reveals that the main transmission channel was mysteriously blocked the previous night, causing players' consciousness to become trapped in the game. Removing the VR helmets, he warns, could result in severe brain damage. As more emergency measures fail, the arguments resume, only to be cut short once again by the CEO. Without hesitation, he orders an immediate meeting with the president and the recruitment of the world's top engineers to resolve the crisis as quickly as possible. As the board members disperse, the CEO turns to his personal screen. There he watches a live feed from the corporation's secret laboratory. Inside, Luna lies unconscious, undergoing a mysterious test. It is now the second day of the logout denial crisis, and news about Destiny Corporation's actions continues to spread like wildfire. Authorities urge everyone to check on their family and friends for any abnormalities. Meanwhile, a citywide blackout plunges everything into darkness as the relentless rain continues to pour, rapidly filling the city dam. However, the dam control workers are also trapped inside the game, unable to open the floodgates and release the rising water. Inside the game, one of the trapped workers finds himself pinned against a rock, moments away from being torn apart by a monstrous creature. Just before the fatal blow, Faye appears out of nowhere, swiftly eliminating the beast and saving the worker's life. Desperate for answers, Faye asks about Lu's whereabouts, but the worker has seen no sign of his brother. Concerned, Faye leaps into the air, hoping to find Lu elsewhere. Meanwhile, Lu drifts helplessly within the game's broken code, his consciousness fading as he feels himself sinking deeper, on the verge of death. At the last moment, the random achievement reward activates, granting him the lucky coin of revival. The coin triggers his resurrection, restoring him in a half-human, half-skeleton form at the same graveyard where he first emerged. The dark mage who initially revived him stands before him once again, demanding that Lu kneel. However, Lu rises to his feet, unleashing a surge of power so overwhelming that the mage recoils in terror, quickly apologizing for his arrogance. Within the digital void, the winged figure monitoring the game's code suddenly detects Lu's re-entry and is shocked by his return. Having personally struck him down, the figure cannot comprehend how he has come back. Seeking answers, it consults the floating spheres, which reveal that Lu's code origin traces back to Blood Moon City. With this revelation, the figure leaves the matter to the city's ruler. In the Blood Moon Lord's secret realm, a direct order is issued: eliminate the intruder who has just appeared in Blood City. In response, the Lord dispatches his most powerful blood slave to deal with the threat. Back in the graveyard, Lu's unease grows as he realizes that the monsters and players' worlds have now fully merged. Death is no longer temporary. When a player perishes, their soul is lost forever. The mastermind behind this chaos is the winged figure, yet Lu remains unaware of her true identity. However, one thing is certain: his brother is trapped within her domain. As Lu contemplates his next move, he notices a figure standing atop a cliff, Before he can react, the blood slave suddenly teleports behind him, ready to strike. Lu quickly realizes that this blood slave is faster than any opponent he has ever faced. Without hesitation, the slave summons his sword and lunges forward with a devastating attack. Lu barely manages to block it. In response, Lu casts his clone spell, combining it with his burst blade, launching a simultaneous assault from both sides. However, the blood slave counters effortlessly, unleashing his horse stomp, generating a massive shockwave that sends both Lu and his clone flying. As the dust settles, the slave dismounts from his horse, introducing himself as Blood Slave and declaring that he has come to take Lu's life. Lu instantly recognizes that this opponent is even stronger than the king he previously fought. With his body still in a weakened state, retreat seems like the only option. Just as he considers his escape, the blood slave moves with blinding speed, delivering a flashy strike that severs Lu's arm. Overwhelmed by pain, Lu activates his Burst Godspeed spell, dashing away. The chase begins. As Lu flees, his legs begin to lose all sensation, numbed by the sheer speed at which he is moving. Realizing he cannot outrun his enemy forever, he decides to use the terrain to his advantage. He leaps into a rushing water stream, instantly transforming into his fishman form to swim into the depths. However, the blood slave reacts swiftly, unleashing his blood war explosion. The attack evaporates all the water in an instant, sending rain cascading from the sky. As the stream drains away, the blood slave walks through the riverbed, eventually finding Lu injured on a rock. Lu, barely conscious, feels an overwhelming sense of disappointment in himself. He wonders if this is truly his fate, to die so easily. Just as his vision begins to fade, a blinding beam descends from the sky, piercing straight through the blood slave. In an instant, his body starts disintegrating into nothingness. As a digital crack appears in the air, Lady Wu emerges from within, stepping forward to aid Lu. As the blood slave dissipates, the Moon Lord teleports in with his two minions, his voice booming as he demands an explanation for Lady Wu's interference. Lady Wu feigns ignorance, but Lu feels the immense pressure of the Moon Lord's presence, the air growing heavy and oppressive. When the Moon Lord repeats his question, his rage intensifies, and the air pressure and aura become so overwhelming that creatures on land, underground, and in the nearby waters flee in terror. The Moon Lord outlines their respective roles, asserting his authority and insisting that Lady Wu should obey him. Lady Wu, however, counters that, as the one in charge of fund allocation, she must reduce the Blood Moon funds due to shortages and rising taxes. Undeterred, the Moon Lord presses his dominance, claiming superiority in raw power, but Lady Wu stands firm, continuing to slash their budget. Revealing all the details of her decision, Lady Wu lifts Lu into the air, announcing her intent to take him with her. The Moon Lord intervenes, declaring that Master Yue has ordered Lu's death. Hearing this, Lady Wu agrees, but instead of handing Lu over to the Moon Lord, she takes matters into her own hands. With a swift, explosive blast, she severs Lu's head, claiming it as a trophy for decoration, and strides confidently into her portal. The Moon Lord's minions, witnessing her obedience to Master Yue, chatter in amazement, but their words only fuel the Moon Lord's fury. Enraged that Lady Wu followed Master Yue's orders instead of his, he grabs his minions, mangles them in his hands, and crushes them like crumpled paper. Seething with anger, he vows that one day he will make Lady Wu his obedient servant, forcing her to bow to his will. Meanwhile, in a secret blood pound within Blood Moon City, Lu begins regenerating from a bloodbath, his skeletal form slowly rebuilding. As the healing process continues, Lu and Lady Wu chat and laugh about events from Lu's life, leaving Lu confused by their sudden talkativeness. Lady Wu, stepping into the blood pool, addresses Lu directly, revealing that she has nothing to gain or lose by helping him, questioning why she should bother. Lu, speaking honestly, admits that despite getting closer to the truth, he feels further from his brother than ever and powerless in the face of his challenges. Desperate, Lu declares that he is willing to offer her everything he has in exchange for her help. As they are talking, Lu's body is still regenerating. Hearing his offer to give her everything, Lady Wu first orders him to lick her feet. Every weeb's dream right there. She also wants him to open his muff and wiggle in front of her. Our boy, being the soy boy he is, hesitates but then does it, making both of them embarrassed. Lady Wu, turning away, praises his determination but claims that his strength at the moment is far weaker than Master Yue's. To give him perspective, she reveals their world's rank system. The bottom 9 ranks, the lowest, consist of insects and small creatures. Moving up, the 5th rank includes demons, like the blood slave who tried to kill Lu. When Lu shows his disappointment at not being able to defeat the slave, Lady Wu assures him that they are strong. Only 1 in 10,000 reaches that level. She continues, explaining that the 4th rank, ferocious, consists of large monsters, while the 3rd rank is the Hall of Masters, which includes herself and Zhuang. The 2nd rank belongs to city lords like Moon Lord, and according to her, the ultimate 1st rank is reserved for Master Yue. No one knows what she looks like, as she is the goddess of the entire monster world and controls everything. As Lady Wu reveals all this, she notices the desire in Lu's expression, and suggests that he let go. However, Lu knows he has no choice. He must bring back his big brother. He begins to lose himself, unable to see a way forward, even dragging his brother into his self-doubt and calling himself useless. Out of nowhere, Lady Wu pulls him onto her lap to comfort him, assuring him that he doesn't need to blame himself. She reveals that all his goals have always been for the sake of others, never for himself. She then asks if he has ever felt happiness while fighting or any joy in achieving victory. Hearing the word happiness stuns Lu. In the beginning, he saw battle as nothing more than a means to find his brother, but as his strength grew, the fights began to feel dull. Yet, as the story progressed, he started craving the rage he felt in battle. Still, none of the fights ever brought him true joy, until he formed a team and faced real competition against the Daybreak Guild. For the first time, Lu felt joy, not just the need to win, but the thrill of battle itself. He wanted to slash through his enemies with everything he had. As he lets his emotions flow, his body begins to change, transforming into a white tiger. Lady Wu watches in shock, realizing she has just unleashed a magnificent beast within him. After a while, Lady Wu orders Lu to get up from her, making him embarrassed. He quickly regains his composure and asks what his next move should be. But to his surprise, even Lady Wu has no answer. She tries to come up with something, but in her hesitation, she accidentally reveals that she doesn't know. However, she suddenly recalls something. His brother Han once mentioned that the Hall Master of the Southern Hall possesses a secret technique that enhances one's physique. Hearing this, Lu is immediately confident that his brother wouldn't be wrong. Lady Wu agrees that it's worth pursuing and suggests he go. However, before he leaves, she warns him of a serious risk. She has a bad relationship with the other hall members, and if they discover that he is her disciple, he will be in grave danger. She advises him to rely entirely on himself. Disguised as a skeleton, Lu walks through Blood Moon City, surrounded by all manner of monsters. His mind is still processing everything that has happened. He knows that if he wants to grow stronger, this city must become his stepping stone, a place where he can build his power, slaughter anyone who stands in his way, including Yue, and ultimately find his brother. His first destination is the Southern Hao Te Tower, a place where the Master of the Southern Hall frequently visits to enjoy fine cuisine. As Lu approaches the entrance, the guards block his path and demand his reason for entering. Without hesitation, he boldly declares that he is there to eat. The guards burst into laughter, mocking him for even daring to think he is worthy. One of them, still grinning, lets out a roar and sends Lu flying with a single strike, claiming he doesn't meet the qualifications. Remembering Lady Wu's words about relying on himself, Lu picks himself up and walks back to the guards. Just as they prepare to beat him again, he quickly lies, claiming to be a chef sent to cook for the hall master. The guards, now serious, immediately apologize and let him in without question. Inside, a monstrous assistant greets Lu and begins guiding him through the hall. As he follows her, he overhears diners praising the exquisite food. The assistant leads him down to the basement, where 4 chefs are already hard at work preparing their dishes. Lu is instructed to wait for his turn. The chefs pour their blood, sweat, and skill into their meals, each one determined to impress. As the final moments tick away, the host announces that time is up, and the staff rushes in to collect the dishes. The tension in the air is immense as the chefs watch their creations being taken to the hallmaster for judgment. A while later, the host returns with the hallmaster's verdict and begins mercilessly criticizing all of them for their mistakes. As they plead for another chance, they are slain on the spot without hesitation. Lu watches nonchalantly as the assistant places a hand on his shoulder, informing him that it is now his turn. The assistant guides Lu to the changing room to change his attire first, while he remains frustrated at Lady Wu for once again tricking him into thinking this was just a normal cooking competition. A bit hesitant, Lu enters the changing room and immediately notices a massive man standing across from him, the opponent he will be facing. The big guy doesn't look pleased, calling Lu a noob and claiming he feels insulted to be matched against him. With a scowl, he slams the door in Lu's face. However, another chef reacts quite differently. Instead of hostility, he compliments Lu's aura, though he warns him that only one of them will survive the competition. This unsettling statement makes Lu realize the grim reality. If he loses, there's a 75% chance he won't just be eliminated, he'll be killed. As Lu finishes changing, the competition begins. Every chef, including Lu, stands behind their designated cooking station. The host steps forward, introducing himself and announcing the rules. The contenders must work with the ingredients provided, and they have 1 hour to complete their dish. As Lu stares at the pan in front of him, a memory resurfaces. Long ago, he used to cook for his brother, who always loved his food. The nostalgia lingers for a moment before he snaps back to the present as the host gives the next instruction. The host instructs everyone to lift the covers in front of them to reveal their ingredients, granting them 2 minutes to familiarize themselves. With a deep breath, Lu removes his cover, only to freeze in horror. Lying before him is not a set of fresh ingredients but the corpse of the previous chef. The host warns the contestants not to waste ingredients through poor cooking skills, as the master has no tolerance for such negligence. After a brief moment of rambling, he officially announces the start of the competition. The lush-haired chef receives a massive boar's head as his primary ingredient, while the bald, ill-tempered chef is given goblin meat. Meanwhile, Lu stands motionless, staring at the rotting flesh in front of him, his mind racing with uncertainty. Transforming such an ingredient into something edible seems nearly impossible. After a brief moment of contemplation, realization strikes. He can counteract the decay with intense umami and a bold, spicy flavor profile, turning it into a dish emblematic of Sichuan cuisine. With a new plan in mind, he selects the tenderloin and begins the necessary preparations. The marination process proves to be the most critical step. Lu understands that meat in such a poor state requires an extended period to absorb the flavors and become remotely palatable. As he methodically works, the lush-haired chef takes notice, seemingly impressed by his willingness to handle such a difficult ingredient. However, both he and the bald chef remain occupied with their own tasks, aggressively breaking down and tenderizing their respective meats to ensure optimal texture. With 20 minutes remaining, the competition space is filled with the sharp sizzle of meat cooking. Lu remains fully immersed in his work, carefully frying his marinated tenderloin, determined to execute his dish to the best of his ability. However, the two-headed chef remains fixated on his assigned ingredient, 2 severed human heads. His hands tremble as the weight of the competition crashes down on him. Unable to suppress his growing panic, he grabs his own knife and slashes his throat. Blood spills from the wound in a violent spray, splattering across his workstation, coating Lu's marinated meat in blood. As the chef takes his own life, his blood sprays across the workstation, contaminating the ingredients of the other competitors. Lu immediately informs the judge that his meat has been ruined, but the host dismisses his concerns, stating that the hall master has ordered him to continue with the competition. Despite Lu's protests, the host assures him that there are still 15 minutes left, encouraging him to push forward. However, as Lu inspects his meat, now drenched in blood, he grows increasingly worried. The overpowering smell has turned foul, carrying an unsettling fishy odor. Worse yet, with no time left to marinate the meat again, his chances of success seem bleak. Meanwhile, the lush-haired chef moves with elegance, skillfully transforming his pork into dumplings while performing a mesmerizing dance-like technique. The bald chef also works diligently, preparing meatballs from troll meat, which surprisingly look quite appetizing. Lu watches his competitors near completion, while he himself has nothing prepared, and with only 8 minutes remaining, his situation appears hopeless. However, despite his despair, he refuses to give up. With no other options, he quickly begins frying the contaminated meat, determined to make the most of it. As the final seconds tick away, the host presses the buzzer, signaling the end of the round, and calls for all chefs to present their dishes. The lush-haired chef proudly showcases his beautifully crafted pork dumplings, while the baldy chef presents his troll meat dumplings. Each dish, including Lu's, is placed before the host for evaluation. After a brief deliberation, the host announces that one creation has particularly intrigued the hallmaster, prompting her to personally deliver her critique. Suddenly, the massive round structure behind the host shifts, revealing an enormous monster. Seated atop its massive belly is the southern hallmaster, Jai Sui. She begins her critique with the lush-haired chef's dish, praising its quality and granting him passage to the next level. Next, she evaluates the bald chef's troll meatballs, approving them as well and allowing him to advance to the qualification round. However, as she takes a sip of his meatball soup, her expression darkens. Displeased by the taste, she wordlessly draws her cleaver and, with terrifying speed, slices the bald chef into pieces. Lu watches in shock, unable to process the sheer swiftness of her attack. It happens so fast that he doesn't even see the movement. Now it is Lu's turn. As Jai Sui examines his dish, her expression shifts into one of disbelief. Staring at the mess before her, she seems genuinely stunned, wondering if it can even be called a dish. As Jai grips her cleaver, Lu quickly assures her that his dish is, in fact, a real one: scrambled eggs with tomatoes. The lush-haired chef bursts into laughter upon hearing this, mocking Lu for coming up with such a simple dish. He had initially overestimated Lu's skills, but now he sees him as a joke. However, Lu remains hopeful, knowing that such a combination has never appeared in the monster world before, which might work in his favor. Despite its unassuming appearance, Jai decides to give it a try. Taking just one bite, she is immediately impressed. With that, she prepares to announce the winner. Both Lu and the lush-haired chef anxiously await the decision, wondering who will claim victory. Suddenly, the lush-haired chef protests, arguing that Lu failed to use the assigned ingredients and should be disqualified. Before he can continue his rant, a sudden flash slices through the air, cutting him into multiple pieces as effortlessly as chopping a cucumber salad. Jai, having lost patience with his incessant complaints, is the one responsible for the swift execution. Though the lush-haired chef was indeed the true winner of the competition, his death makes the decision easy. Jai officially announces Lu as the winner. Hearing this, Lu introduces himself, and Jai follows suit, asking what reward he desires. Without hesitation, Lu kneels before her and reveals his wish: to learn her secret physique strengthening technique. For Jai, granting this request is not an issue, but first, she needs to know Lu's rank. When he admits that he is unaware of it himself, she orders him to remove his shirt and follow her. Jai and her monstrous companion take Lu to a towering structure known as the Rank Tower. This tower naturally determines one's rank upon entry, with its 6 floors corresponding to different levels, from poor to ferocious. Thanking her, Lu steps inside. On the first floor, labeled Poor, he immediately encounters an assassin rabbit. However, before the rabbit can even react, Lu effortlessly decapitates it and proceeds to the next floor. Meanwhile, outside the tower, the monstrous companion questions Jai about why she tricked Lu into entering the rabbit cage tower, despite him winning the competition. Jai smirks and reveals her reasoning. She strongly suspects Lu is a spy sent by Lady Wu, as she can still detect her scent on him. When the monster attempts to ask another question, Jai suddenly raises her fist and slams him into the ground, declaring that she only agreed to answer one. With a mischievous giggle, she watches Lu's progress, convinced that she has successfully trapped him. Inside the tower, Lu advances to the second floor, Warrior, where he easily defeats a giant mallet-wielding rabbit. On the third floor, he takes down a scholar rabbit using a combination of his clone spell and rending burst. Reaching the fourth floor, he encounters a noticeably stronger rabbit wielding a staff. This opponent puts up a fight, forcing Lu to engage in a fierce exchange. As they clash, Lu realizes that the evil spirit rank rabbit is nearly on par with Feng in terms of combat skill. However, as the rabbit continues its relentless attacks, Lu spots an opening. With a massive strike, he sends the rabbit crashing into the wall, defeating it. On the 5th demon floor, Lu faces the Shadow Art rabbit, a ferocious-looking opponent. The rabbit declares that he possesses 5 swords and will use each one only once. If Lu survives all 5 attacks, he will be allowed to proceed. Accepting the challenge, Lu braces himself as the rabbit swiftly unsheathes the first sword. In an instant, a single slash cuts through the air, striking Lu and sending him flying backward from the sheer force. Struggling to his feet, Lu demands the second sword attack. The rabbit obliges, unleashing a massive energy beam. Though Lu manages to block it, the overwhelming power forces him backward, dragging him across the floor. Only 2 swords have been drawn, yet Lu already feels his body reaching its limit. Knowing that the next attack will be even more difficult to withstand, he devises a strategy. He combines his shadow clone technique with Hidden Abyss, launching a surprise assault on the rabbit. The rabbit, impressed by Lu's ingenuity, acknowledges his tactics but swiftly counters. Unsheathing his third sword, he delivers a single swing that not only obliterates the clone, but also interrupts the Hidden Abyss spell, sending Lu crashing to the ground. Realizing the increasing intensity of the battle, Lu transforms into his Asura form. The rabbit, sensing the change, remarks that Lu is no ordinary challenger. With that, he draws his 4th sword and swings. Lu attempts to block the strike, but the sheer power of the attack smashes into his gut, sending him crashing into the ground once more. Despite being knocked down, the rabbit praises Lu, acknowledging him as a rare challenger who has forced him to unsheath the 4th sword, an act that had slain thousands before him. Meanwhile, Lu, coughing up blood, becomes aware of a surprising development. His body has strengthened significantly since entering Wu's blood pool. With renewed determination, he steadies himself and demands the final sword attack. With that, the rabbit unsheathes his gift sword, which, to Lu's shock, is bladeless, a spectral weapon representing a ghost spirit. Unlike a conventional sword, this one does not pierce flesh but instead slices through the soul. As Lu braces himself, the rabbit swings at him with full force. The moment the attack lands, Lu is struck by an overwhelming dizziness, realizing that this is not a physical assault but a mental one. In an instant, his surroundings shift, and he finds himself transported into a vast, empty space. Before him, he and the rabbit are seated on a massive balance scale, with 2 swords hovering above their heads. The rabbit begins to yap about the interplay of bitterness and sweetness in one's actions. As he speaks, the scale slowly tips in his favor. Lu quickly realizes that this is a mental battle, a debate where conviction determines the victor. Understanding the nature of the challenge, Lu starts voicing his own philosophy, arguing that bitterness and sweetness coexist, creating balance in life. The rabbit counters his claim, insisting that if that were true, pain and happiness should be equal. Lu refutes this, and the debate intensifies as both hold firm to their respective beliefs about life and death. Suddenly, Lu's vision shifts. He sees a snow-covered winter landscape, which then shatters, revealing the floor beneath them. Standing in front of him, the rabbit admits his defeat, acknowledging that he has yet to fully comprehend the meaning of life and death. Lu, however, maintains that everyone has their own perspective, just as no 2 leaves are exactly alike. The rabbit, intrigued by this statement, praises Lu's wisdom and allows him to proceed to the next floor. But as Lu turns to leave, the rabbit, now wearing a sinister expression, ominously states that they will meet again soon. Now, on the 6th floor, ferocious, Lu immediately feels out of place, thinking that he is not yet strong enough to belong here. However, to his surprise, an old rabbit is seated before him, casually offering to play a game of 5 in a row. Lu, not trusting the situation, immediately activates his Asura mode and leaps toward the rabbit, slashing at him. But to his shock, it was merely an illusion. Before he can react, the old rabbit grabs his wrist as if assessing his strength. Lu, now frustrated, unleashes a flurry of attacks, but they all pass right through the rabbit as if he were a ghost. Watching calmly, the rabbit urges him to attack faster. Then, without warning, he picks up a single game piece and hurls it at Lu, instantly killing him. The next moment, Lu opens his eyes and is stunned to find himself back on the first floor. Confused, he begins to wonder if he has somehow completed the ranking test. However, the rabbit smirks and reveals the truth that this is not some prestigious ranking tower, but rather a rabbit cage tower, and Lu has been the victim of an elaborate prank set up by the tower master. Hearing this, Lu is left in complete shock. Meanwhile, in Dong Yue's main hall, Lady Wu sits in her office, surrounded by massive piles of receipts. Glancing at them, she briefly wonders about Lu but quickly dismisses the thought, realizing that she shouldn't dote on him too much. With that, she sighs and decides to take a nap instead. Back in the city, it is the 5th day of the crisis, and the blackout continues. More and more players are being transported to hospitals, with some even suffering from cardiac arrests. Due to the overwhelming number of critical cases, hospitals are reaching full capacity. Even after performing CPR, doctors are unable to revive many of the patients. With so many deaths, the hospital staff are growing hopeless, reduced to merely administering nutrients and fluids to keep the players alive, leaving the rest up to fate. Meanwhile, in Paxis, a neutral city where fighting and killing are strictly prohibited, chaos reigns. The once protected zone has become a slaughterhouse, overrun by monstrous creatures hunting down players. The monsters show no mercy, brutally killing anyone they find. A few players remain hidden, clinging to what little hope they have left, but they are trapped, unable to log out of the game or change their fate. As their leader tries to rally them with words of encouragement, giving them a glimmer of hope that they might escape, a massive monster suddenly smashes through their hiding place, exposing them. The sight of the creature freezes the leader in place. He recognizes it instantly. It is the serpent demon. Before he can react, the demon lunges at him, decapitating him in a single swift motion before devouring his head. The remaining 2 players, gripped by terror, break into a desperate sprint. One of them, acting out of pure self-preservation, suddenly slashes the other's leg, claiming that he refuses to die and is using him as bait. But his betrayal is futile. The serpent demon catches up, unleashing her eroding breath, killing them both in an instant. As their souls are ripped from their bodies, she greedily consumes them. But just as she finishes, her eyes lock onto 2 distant figures clad in robes. One of the figures steps forward and appears to be searching for someone, questioning whether the serpent demon has encountered a dark-skinned man wielding dual daggers. The serpent demon merely brushes off the question, more interested in devouring them. However, her dismissive attitude angers the robed figure. Before the serpent can attack, Faye arrives, engulfed in blazing fire, and strikes her with overwhelming force. Fueled by rage, he mercilessly beats her, pinning her down as he repeatedly demands to know if she has seen his brother. Chili, the other robed figure, rushes forward, trying to stop him, but Faye, consumed by his emotions, burns the serpent demon to ashes. Knowing how hard Faye is on himself, Chili grabs him from behind, urging him to slow down. But Faye refuses. He knows that with countless lives at stake, there is no time to slow down.